Yeah, Tigers, and that's how you know we're live, because when I see the button come on that says stop broadcast, I do my patented Ogre bellow. So before we do anything today, I played this and put it up on my channel, but Chris Cornell was an influence in my life for the good. And when I was very young, a teenager, he taught me that sometimes the sad songs are the ones that make you the happiest. If you remember, Tigerson, we were talking on Twitter just the other day, and I sent you I don't even remember what it was. I sent you a sad song. I said, maybe the sad song will make you feel better. And you sent me one even better back. You sent me, like, was it Radiohead?
Radiohead, yeah.
Yeah, and it was like, you know.
Very sad.
Oh, yeah, but a good song. I mean, it's the kind of sadness that picks you up. So it's
a great album, that one. It's OK Computer. I've been listening to it loads recently just because I don't know, I've not really listened to it full before. I mean, it's like 20 years old now, but it's a great album. It's really great.
Yeah. So, by the way, what's that? Fugy? F-U-O-G-G-Y. Well, it's hanging a little bit low and to the right now. Let me see. Yep. And I'm going to have this beer. Oh, Defrader Watch, you just saw me do that? Gracious, ma'am. I'm so sorry. It's good to see y'all here. I'm going to play this little song, and I'm just going to play it my way, because this is a song done by Temple of the Dog, Chris Cornell and the boys. And I mean, even Eddie Vedder was on this. God save his soul. I don't know what gave him the nerve to think that he could sing alongside, but they actually do a pretty good duet. But I tell you, to quote Bullet Tooth Tony, if I had to sing with Chris Cornell, it would precipitate my balls into shrinking, because he had a 4-octave range. And for a person like me that loves music, and loves life and literature, and loves art and the expression thereof, which I consider music to be the highest form of expression of art, and of course it's up for debate, he was something else. He was something that I aspired to be. So before we get into this and some heavy topics, and then probably some lighthearted stuff at the end, Tigerson, this one right here is for you. As I said before, I hope you had your silver dollar. May the ferryman, and I'll see you in Elysium, brother. All right, bear with me. Oh, I got to set this down, Tiger, or it'll sound like crap. How's that for ruining a segue right there? But here we go. Let's see if I can do the studio save. I'm just going to do my best. I don't have Dop here to give me a sound check, so here we go. I don't mind you well from the mouths of decadence. I can't speed all the power left when my cup's already overfilled. But it's on the table, the fire's cooking, and the farmer babies and sins are working. Blood is on the table, the mouths are choking. I'm going hungry. I'm going hungry. I don't mind hearing the bells from the mouths of decadence. I can't help all the powerless. My cup's already overfilled. But it's on the table, the fire's cooking. It's still farming, baby, the things are all working. The dirt is on the table, the mouths are choking. I'm going hungry. I don't mind seeing death from the mouths of decadence. I can't
save all the powerless. Cup's already overfilled. Yeah. Blood is on the table, the mouths are choking. And the farmer babies are still there working. Blood is on the table, the mouths are choking. I'm going hungry. Not a man, stealing blood, running miles of decadence. I only picked that song because it's probably the only one I could do on short notice. But the lyrics and the message, some people called what Chris Cornell and the boys from Soundgarden did grunge rock. It was in the era of grunge rock, but as I was going through the catalog today and listening to these songs, it's hard to put these people, Soundgarden, in the same group with Eddie Vedder and the boys. And I say this with respect. Now, don't get me wrong. Please, no one.
Sorry about that, folks, if I'm still there.
Got you. Yep.
Hey, I don't know if I don't know if I'm still there or not. I hit the wrong button. I'm trying to come off of the studio. And,
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to change something because I think I went to my Pro Stream microphone, which actually sucks. So let me go to default and see if this still works. How about that, Tigerson?
Chat is saying you're back, so I think you're back.
Yeah. And I'll tell y'all. I mean, I'm probably fumbling and making a few mistakes today because, you know, everybody here is pretty much just starting to get to know me. I am an emotional person. I don't think that makes me less of a man, because when I found out one of my childhood idols that taught me to love sadness in some strange ways and taught me to examine the stranger crotchets of life and to look at things and not think that just because it doesn't make me happy that it's bad. I wept, you know, and I honestly couldn't stop weeping for an hour. When I put that song up on my channel, I was weeping while it happened. It was something that was difficult for me. The main reason is because there's nothing I can do. When I think about this gentleman, Mr. Cornell, I feel like he saved my life in a very real way. I was a depressed person when I was a kid. I don't know why. I was young and handsome. I had pretty much anything that a young person could want. But I think that may be the point of this loss of life. That even when we look at this man and we say, oh, he had everything that a person could want, and fame and fortune, and realized any musician's dream, but we don't know the inside of his heart. We don't know the struggles that he had. We don't know, as people that haven't been to the heights as he has, what it's like to have all those things, but not be able to fix your individual problems. So, you know, Tiger, I'll ramble on and on and on and on about this, and I wasn't even supposed to be on today. But I felt just a strong urge to come on and say, look, we don't know. You know my tagline. A lot of other people do. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Those people watched Chris last night at the Fox Theater, having no idea that that brilliant performance would be followed up by an encore of suicide, if that's what it was. But yes. I don't know. I've got some serious questions for you, Tiger, but is there something you would like to add now?
No, yeah, you pretty much summed it up. Yeah, it's just anything can happen. Anything. Yeah, and this is just living proof. Well, living proof of that. Yeah.
Now, Tiger, I got to ask you, because you're here with me, do you mind if I shoot this out in the general chat? Because I'd like to have a few voices here today, and I don't just want to shoot it out to the normal crew. I want to get some people that maybe I haven't heard from.
Yeah, sure, go for it. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna do that. Swing on in, folks, while Tigerson's talking.
No, I'll stick around.
Oh yeah, but I want you to carry on, and then too, you know, I'm going to ask you some questions.
Yeah, sure. I I guess I'm kind of reminded of like other times when, you know, in recent times when, you know, famous musicians have died, and I but this is the only one really since, well, since David Bowie died, and then loads of other people have died since then. This is the only one I've like truly shed a tear over, because, you know, Soundgarden sort of meant something to me, and it's just, you know, it's just strange because I never thought I'd feel like that about, you know, well, a celebrity. Yeah, so it's just kind of been odd,
it's
really.
and it's hard, Ty, but you know what? You were saying something before about how you hated to think of this to be suicide, and I'll tell you what, man, I was going to say something about that, but now Defrader Watcher says that from what she read, it's suspected right now, not a lot of details at this point, and Detroit is not a stellar communications police department. So, yeah, I guess she's saying that it's suspected that he committed suicide. I'm sorry. When she put Patrick Meredith, I don't know all the names of the band members or people surrounding him. So I see now that Patrick Meredith is somebody to chat. Sorry, Tigerson. I was going to break in and say I did because I've been watching this, but things change. And she's right. Not only is the Detroit Police Department not great at communications, Defrader Watcher, but we both know they're not very fucking good at policing, are they, ma'am? Because like only 1 in 15 murders get solved. And if you want to murder somebody, go to Detroit, because you can get away with it. And I'm just quoting Steven Crowder. That's true. So I'm a little sad that it happened there, where it's probably the most corrupt police department in the United States, in the world, maybe. Well, I can't say the world, in the United States.
Probably not in the world. Come on, but
No, I stopped short of that because I started thinking of Calcutta and all these. No, probably not in the world, but in the United States, it's got to be in the top 5, man. It's bad.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna just wait and see what comes up in investigations. But yeah, it'd just be even worse, really, if it was truly was suicide. I mean, they didn't say he left a note or anything, but
no. But just so what I want to ask you too, and I know I'm not blindsiding you. Don't answer anything you don't want. I told you what the topics were to be about, but you know me. I like to keep things fresh and get your true reaction. So, do you feel like, because I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, suicide's so selfish and it's so terrible." I mean, do you feel like that if somebody is at that point, that they shouldn't be able, or that they should be looked down on, or their memory should be besmirched because they decided, look, I can't go on. It's time for me to end. I'm checking out. Sayonara, exit stage left.
Well, I mean, I guess I could say I've been moderately suicidal before in the past, and I guess it's just basically a sort of a sense of disconnect. You know, you're not connected to other people emotionally, and if you don't feel connected, then people, you know, you feel as if people won't mind if you're not there. So that, I guess that's what it is. As to say whether it's selfish, well, yeah, I can see where people are coming from with that sort of thing. It didn't really help to say when you're gone, and it doesn't really, in the end, it doesn't really matter why you're gone.
Yeah, I agree.
I you know, it's you know, you've every right to call someone selfish for committing suicide, but it's just far more complex than that, and you know, it mostly just goes down to a feeling of disconnect, rather than I guess it's more disconnect than sadness, really, because you've got to feel disconnected to, rather than just sad to you know, think that it's not going to matter if I'm gone, you know.
Yeah. Well, I agree. I love the way you put that, because the idea, I think that if anybody says, and they're older than 30, that they've never felt that maybe it would be better if it ended, well, either A, they've had a fucked up life that is so easy that they should go commit suicide. I don't know how else to say it, but they've had some kind of life that I can't understand, or there's no B. because I think once you reach the age of 20, I will say even that low, that if you haven't thought about ending it, then I don't know, you may not be normal. But thinking about it and having that disconnect and actually doing it is two different things. So Push Button, I really appreciate this. This is coming from the Independent. It says that Chris Cornell's cause of death, singer died after hanging himself, medical officials say. So it's coming out now that rock star Chris Cornell died after he hanged himself, medical officials say. The cause of death has been determined as hanging by suicide. Wayne County Medical Examiner's Office said in a statement after an initial examination. It added, a full autopsy report has not yet been completed. And then it goes on and talks about Detroit newspapers and stuff. And I tell you, I hope that in the end they don't make a big joke about this. It's a very private thing. Suicide is.
That is so terrible. Yeah. You just wouldn't think it from such an energetic and such a, and just a sort of, just someone like Chris Cornell, you just wouldn't expect it. I mean, it's sort of out there that he's had problems with depression before, but in this stage now where he's, where he's just sort of kind of quite free to do his own thing, and he's got a wife and family, and even with having a wife and family, he didn't have maybe if he didn't have anyone to confide in about his problem, I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. And a lot of times the people that are around him, Tigerson, they're probably, I shouldn't say probably, but can you imagine being in his position and having a bunch of sycophants around you? It would be difficult. Who would you trust? Who could you talk to?
Sure, man. I mean, he's been through the bad side of fame before. He used to have addiction problems and everything when he was, I thought he'd have been through all that shit already, to be honest. The worst part of being famous.
Yeah, and I'm not going to just, that what I'm wondering is this, man, and before I just start breaking down and crying like a girl and then a Britisher, I'm waiting right now because I had to wipe my eyes just a second ago. I can't hide it. I'm sure people saw me do it. And I'm waiting for the Brit to come on and say, really, Mr. Ogre, keep that stiff upper lip, sir. And because he would say that if my mother died. He really would. That guy, I don't think he's ever shed a tear in his life over anything. He's the kind of guy that would march up to a battery and fire a musket at it. He doesn't understand anything but a stiff upper lip. So I do want to have that. But what I want to ask you, and what I'm gonna, if I have to, I will start sending this link out to the normal crew.
Sure, man.
But because I want to get some ideas. Is this it, Tigerson? Do we have to just do the best job we can now because when it's all done, it's all done? Do we have any hope of seeing Chris again? Is there any hope in that?
I just don't know. I mean, I guess, very recently I've been more kind of philosophical about things. I mean, I'm actually, briefly studying philosophy at the moment, but just the general discussion about an afterlife is, I don't know, it's just something I personally don't. It's because we only know about this life, and we we know of circumstances in which lead to us leaving this life, and that's the only framework we can work in, to be honest. So personally, I guess I've not engaged in the whole discussion about an afterlife that much. But I guess when I was younger, when I was raised in a sort of moderate kind of Protestant household, and I kind of had these childish notions of a place where we'd all sort of see each other again, and I sort of gradually let go of that as I matured, but it's just difficult, really.
Well, now we're going into convergent ideas, because what I've done, Tiger, is when I was young, and I mean young, I remember going and the evangelist would come to church, and 2-3 times a year. And I was baptized when I was young because one of them was a really good preacher. And, you know, I got what do you call it? You know, I got all fired, ready to, you know, to do the hallelujah plunge. And I did that when I was very young, but I didn't really give a flying fuck. I thought I was going to live forever. I did, you know, when my grandma passed away when I was about 9, I didn't even think about seeing her again. I felt like, I don't even know. It's hard to explain. But the older I get, my brother's gone. It's my brother right here. He died when he was 32 years old. He was the best looking of all of us, and I've got 7 brothers and sisters. He looked like a movie
7
star.
brothers and sisters.
I have 7 brothers and sisters. In other words, there was 8 of them. And I'm the youngest of all them. And he, you know, he just died one day, and then my uncle up here, he died at 38. My uncle, I got dead folk all around me right now. And the more people that I lose, Chris Cornell, the more that I just hold out a hope that I try my best. I don't want anybody to get me wrong, because I believe this. Let's pretend that there is nothing else for a moment. And let's pretend that we're all in agreement. And in fact, let's pretend that we can scientifically prove that there is nothing else. I believe that we should all strive every day, Tigerson, to get the best grades we can in college, young man. to aspire to, yeah. And then once you get out, to aspire to be the best that you can be in your field, to surpass everyone else, to leave your mark on life, to invent something, to create something that's never been, to leave something there in society that no one would know about if it wasn't for my brother Tigerson. But I still feel like we should, even though we should live like that, that it does give humans, even if it's a fantasy, even if it's like you said, if you're more mature, you would let go of those feelings of another life. It gives me a hope for my life. It allows me to do those things. I'm trying to breed a new chicken right now. And so I don't ramble on. I mean, do you see what I'm saying? I believe we should live as if there's nothing else. But I do believe that hanging on to a hope that there is something else can give us a great amount of inspiration and courage.
Sure, man. Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, I guess this kind of, this is going to sound pretty shallow, but you know, I was just kind of thinking today as I was walking home, and I heard the news as I was walking home. I was going through Twitter, and you know, just the whole idea of, if you want to, I don't know, if you want to see a band, but then you kind of think, oh, I won't bother now. I'll see them next time because I'm a bit busy at the moment or something. And I guess, you know, I might have felt that way about Soundgarden at some point, and then, you know, you just got to. So I guess I'm very inclined to just say, always, you know, live in the moment and do go for things because you'll regret it later. But at the same time, try and, you know, see a balance of being disciplined as well and being, you know, pragmatic or something. But I'm just still shocked, though. I'm just still really shocked and just saddened.
Yeah, me too. I'm in shock. That's why I can't get this out of my head. I just sent a link to Beard Barry, and he's got a big thing coming up tonight, so I don't know if he'll come in. But I do. I mean, and this is one day where probably won't get what I want. But I want to hear other voices on this idea of, is there a Valhalla? I call it Elysium, and anyone that follows me knows I don't call it heaven, because that's just another word. And I prefer to think of the afterlife like the Romans did, because I believe if the God that I follow is there, and if he's real like I believe him to be, then he would allow us to have another chance to live forever, and to show that our character that we had here could bring something great to the universe. And maybe that's what it is about me. I don't like the idea of this great human being being gone. Maybe it is because I'm not mature, Tiger. Maybe it's because I'm so youthful and so immature that I can't fathom this man being gone.
Yeah, it's hard for me too, man. It's just,
Yeah. Well, and maybe we can get on a happier note in one way or another. I will say this. Go ahead.
You didn't happen to listen to David Bowie's Black Star album, did you?
I own it.
Oh, you did then. Yeah. It's quite good, isn't it? But ever since it's released, I've really found myself going back to it loads, just because it's, I mean, just on. I mean, you know, I probably shouldn't talk so much about death on the stream, but it's so just clever, and I was just so intrigued by how, you know, it was like when my parents' generation were at university, they'd be, you know, excited about new David Bowie releases, and now here I am, and there's this new David Bowie release that the critics and everyone's talking about, and is genuinely a really good album. And yeah, I guess. What are your favorite songs from that? If you have any.
Put me on the spot. I'm gonna have to go look it up. So there's so many David Bowie tunes. I would say with all of the best ofs and re-releases and whatnot, I must have 15, maybe 20, maybe as many as 20. Probably 5 or 6 records and the rest CDs. I actually have a couple tapes. My favorite all-time David Bowie song, though, you're gonna probably hate me, is "Let's Dance." Think, 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 think. Put on your red shoes and dance. I mean,
it's a great.
It was second to none. There's nothing that you could put on that David Bowie performed, and that includes the Bog of Eternal Stench. Remember that, the movie he was in? And there's nothing that he ever did that I didn't admire, and all of his musical stuff is second to none. But I can't give you right now. I mean, I'm telling you, besides that, and yes, don't worry about talking about death. I've already got 2 dislikes on this, and there ain't a bunch of people here. That's fine with me. I'm doing this for myself because today a great man died that you and I look up to, and we are going to talk about death today. We are going to talk about the idea of, is it fucking over? And we are going to talk about the idea of, am I immature and unable to let go, and that's why I want to believe in Elysium. But Sir Sidney Ruff Diamond, if there is an Elysium, I will see you there, mate. And we will fuck big-bosomed women and drink brimming tankards of ale forever.
I'm more excited for the ale.
Well, you know, we could make out too, Tiger. I mean, no doubt that you would do that, but I'm just saying we could have a good time.
What did you say we could do?
No, don't do that. I just want to bring a little levity. And besides, I think Cabbage Patch is watching right now. We don't want to make him nervous.
I'll see you there one day. And Iggy Pop had an album out like last January. It had it was like produced by Josh Homme, Queens of the Stone Age, and he talked about death a bit too, because you know he's getting on a little bit, obviously, and he had this song called American Valhalla, and it was all dark, and he was sort of, I guess, had these lyrics which were all kind of confusion about sort of the end of his life. And quite interesting, I suppose. And that was also something that's like, it was quite well received by the critics, and not just seen as, I guess, some sort of desperate attempt for relevancy that an aging rock star might do. You know, it was seen as something pretty good. I recommend that too. Iggy Pop.
Well, Iggy Pop was one of my. Listen, if it wasn't for Iggy Pop, if it wasn't for Iggy Stardust, because you just mentioned, if it wasn't for a few people, but I would say Iggy Pop and David Bowie are on the top of the list, along with Tears for Fears, Pet Shop Boys. If it wasn't for these great musicians of that era, I wouldn't know how to play the guitar. I wouldn't know how to stay on key when I sung, because I don't know if I do now. It's hard for me to tell. My ear's not so good, but I believe that I've practiced so hard and so long that I've actually taught my Ogre's vocal cords to stay at least close to the key. And if you're someone like me that started out where I did, it's not easy. Yeah. So yeah, man, Iggy Pop. I mean, Lust for Life. Don't go fucking listen to Lust for Life and say you're an Iggy Pop fan, you faggots. I mean, he was a bad motherfucker. He used to cut himself and like bleed and smear peanut butter all over himself on stage. The guy was out of his mind. Still is out of his mind. I love Iggy.
I listened to the you know, it was around that time that I listened to that newest Iggy Pop album that was like last year, and I thought I'd get a bit more nuance, so I listened to the Stooges Funhouse album. That's pretty good too. Like 1970 or something like that. But that's pretty good.
Oh yeah, old Iggy Pop and the Stooges. So how much have you ever seen them live?
No. I've seen who have I seen? I've seen Metallica. He's like the oldest one. I can't remember. I guess the biggest thing I've seen is. Oh wait, no, yeah. Oh god, yeah. I saw Black Sabbath. Fuck. How could I forget? Yeah,
When did you see Black Sabbath, and who was fronting them? Was it Dio or Ozzy?
It was a couple of years ago. It was when they were touring that 13 album.
Oh, so it was Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, and it was in London in the O2 Arena, and with my dad, and that was good fun.
Well, nobody's shooting me, but I'll tell you what, Ozzy Osbourne. He is what he is. But Ronnie James Dio, man, all of my favorite Black Sabbath stuff is with Ronnie James Dio. I mean, when Holy Diver came out, my mother came into my room, heard me listen to Holy Diver, you've been down too long in the midnight sea. Yeah, I mean, I'm jamming that in my bedroom, got a record, jamming it. And I just got the poster. And my mother came in there and was like, "What are you listening to, young man?" And she could see, like, it's like the devil there, and with a big whip, and it just Dio. She tore that poster down. She didn't break the record. And she said her reasoning for not breaking the record was that I spent, like, I think it was $5 of my allowance on it. So, but anyway, Ronnie James Dio, that's my little disclaimer, is Black Sabbath is great. Ozzy is great. But in my humble opinion, Sidney Rough Diamond, you can't compare Ronnie James Dio with Ozzy Osbourne. I know he's a Brit.
Whatever. No, yeah, I saw Metallica a couple of years ago. That was good. Although,
I'm going to get some hate mail on that last one.
Oh dear. There was this one song that I really wanted Metallica to play, and they didn't. It was really annoying. It was "Hit the Lights" from their debut album. Such a great tune, so good. Oh yeah, and I saw the Chili Peppers last year as well. But I'm
oh man, that fucking Flea and Kiedis, man.
Yeah,
they're bad ass. No, but Flea is my hero on the bass. There's only a couple people that I even put in this category. Nobody plays the bass like that little motherfucker, man.
But their 80s stuff is definitely their best, because that was the most coke fueled, the most violent, and just dysfunctional, and it was really fucking good. And not to say that they're bad now. Like the album they released like a year ago, there's some songs on there I really like, but it's people are just don't know their old stuff as much, and it's just really annoying. But they didn't get big with their old stuff. They didn't get big with their 80s stuff, really. Well, it helped obviously, but yeah. Is anyone else thinking of anything?
You know what might have happened too is because you're right. It was like Under the Bridge and shit that they come out with in the early 90s. And I'm not saying I don't mind. In fact, I like the Fly Away on My Zeppelin. I like all of their stuff, but you hit the nail on the head. Their early shit was just visceral and rock and roll at its finest, man.
They had an album. It was I think it was their second album. Was produced by George Clinton, and of course, back you can just imagine them in the studio with George Clinton just completely coked up making a record.
Yeah, getting laid if George Clinton was there.
And he's still going, George. He's doing a gig in
Hell
Leeds.
Yeah.
He's doing a gig in Leeds next week or something.
The original dog, man. The original dog.
With Parliament Funkadelic. It's hilarious. He's like
original dog.
And I saw an interview he did with this music magazine in the UK, talking about bitches and weed, and he's like 80 years old. It's so funny.
Yeah, but believe it, bro. There's too many stories about him. That's not just talk. He's still at 80. He's still out there getting it on to the break of dawn.
Or it's not just talk. Yeah. But yeah, it's just so.
Well, the Parliament Funkadelic. I mean, good gracious, son. Because you keep saying, but I don't know. Life is a long song, and hell, I may be dead by then. I could get struck by lightning tomorrow or something. We're gonna have vicious thunderstorms rolling into the plains where I live, but you never know. But that said, man, I can't wait to fucking see you, dude. You're so young, and yet you're very eclectic in your musical liking. To me, it's like talking to somebody my age. Only you're cool.
Most of it comes through me following. I mean, I've always really liked music, but in recent years, it's come from me following this YouTube channel. It was the first YouTube channel I really followed, called The Needle Drop. I don't know if you've heard of it or not. And
no, that's a new one on me. It's
basically like a music review channel, and run by this guy called Anthony Fantano, and it's like probably the biggest music YouTube channel out there, and he's probably listened to every single fucking album under the sun. From the way he sort of talks about different genres and styles and all this, it just makes it sound as if he's listened to just every piece of music under the fucking sun. And so his opinions are just so backed up and well thought out, and it's just a great place to get recommendations for good stuff, because if he gives something a good review, usually it's good because he's listened to just everything and he knows what good music is in comparison to others. So definitely look that up. In fact, I'll put it in the chat here.
Yeah, you can put it here. You can put it in the main one too, so everybody can. I'm looking at Bootsy Collins right now. Sir Sidney, who the hell's Bootsy Collins? This is probably an elaborate Sir Sidney Rough Diamond joke. I don't know. I'm gonna look it up. It says, oh no, Bootsy Collins. He's actually a real person. What is he from Parliament Funkadelic? And I didn't even know it. Is that what you're asking? Yep. Funk bassist, singer, songwriter, funk master, Bootsy Collins. And let's see, it says, man who put bass in your face, the original funk and roll wild child, the Godzilla toned high minister of the all-powerful, Parliament Funkadelic, of course. Sorry, look, I spoke before I looked, Sidney, and now I look stupid, but it does appear that he is still alive. And boy, does he, I got to screen share this. Does he ever look like just the kind of fella I would like to meet and have a drink with, Tigerson? He's bad as funk. Hey, Jack Nab, man. How come black people are so much cooler than us honkies?
Not all of them. But
well, not all of them. But it does seem like it's like the bell curve to me. When you get to the cream of the crop in music, you've got 4 or 5 white boys roaming around the room with like 15, 20 black boys. That's just the way it's the way it was in my music career. All the best boys were, some of us white boys would make it. Most of us were like me, were either Jewish or Irish. I know a lot of Irish singers and songwriters. In fact, I go further than that. Oh, Day is Dead is here. And Day, did you hear what we were talking about before? Because I want to get your opinion on it.
Hey guys. Yeah, I was listening. Hey Tigerson, how you doing?
I'm good.
So what, Dave? We just live this life, and then when that's over, we hope that we live the best life we could live, and poof, it's all gone.
I don't really know. I've thought about that question a lot. I think every human has, like, coming to terms with death is something I don't think many people actually do and at the end of it, but I don't know what happens after. I would really like to know. I think everybody would really like to know, and I think humans have been striving to answer that question for a long time. But I don't know.
Well, and I understand you don't know, but I want to prod you a little bit, if you don't mind, and if you don't want to say what you think on air, hey, that's groovy. But I've already made it very, very, very clear. I feel like the human is too powerful up here to go away. I think that we're greedy monkeys in our mind, and we just hang on to consciousness. And I do believe that there is some place that we go, and I like to think of it as Elysium.
Yeah, well, hold on one second.
Take your time, sweetness. I'm just glad she showed up, Tiger.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry. Well, what I think, I guess, ultimately, I would like to think that something happens after death. I kind of feel like there's definitely a possibility that something could, but in like the deepest, most logical part of my mind, I feel like there's probably nothing, most likely. But I don't know. I would like to think there's something more. And as far as like humans, you know, will to live and be conscious, I don't know if that has anything to do with, like, once the brain dies. I don't know. I don't know what consciousness is entirely. I don't think science has exactly figured it out. Consciousness is a weird thought. And I've had these thoughts once I've had someone close to me, extremely close to me, die, and all these thoughts I had mulled over before became like really real. And I don't know. I just don't know. Because like I kind of felt something after he died. Like I've had like, you know, when you have a dream about someone and you know you're dreaming about them. But like I had a few dreams that felt more like visitations, and it really freaked me out because like I'm an atheist. I don't believe in anything like otherworldly, really. I think there's a lot of weird stuff out there that's kind of fantastical, but I don't think that I'm not inclined to go into that realm so much. So it was really weird once I had that experience. I'm like, huh, that was weird. And like I could feel his presence for a while after he died. And I don't know if that's just a coping mechanism that happens to people when people close to them die. They like still feel their presence, but I actually felt it, so it made me question some things.
So maybe it is it us? Because look, nothing's going to change my mind. I honestly believe that in the end, but I do want to hear. So it's important for me too, because it was mentioned by Tigerson earlier that maybe it's a sign of immaturity that we can't let go, and that as he matured, he let go of these childish fantasies of another plane of reality. But do you think that maybe it's because we as humans that are still living and trying to figure out this consciousness that science can't figure out, do you think it's our problem that we can't let go, so we invent these things in our mind?
I think that's very highly probable. Yeah, I think that's kind of the basis of all religions and all mythology that happened going back years and years, because we need answers. I think humans, with our minds, we long for answers and reasons for things. Like, it's really kind of just sad to think that we're all just born as a, you know, clump of cells, and we are born into the world and we live our lives for really no reason, just to be a part of like whatever society is doing at the time and the point we're alive. And then after we die, we're just gone. That's really sad to think about. It's like depressing as fuck. So
but in a way, I don't want to cut you off either, but in a way it's not, Dave, because if I'm wrong and people that believe that we're only here and then gone are right, well, if we knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that this was it, wouldn't we live every day like we wanted to leave our mark on this life? Wouldn't that help us to be better people?
That's a good question. I think a lot of the times we don't like to think about it, so we don't live our lives on those terms. Just because we never want to think about us dying as well. And a lot of the time, especially when you're younger, you think it's never going to happen to you. So you don't really go through life thinking in those terms, even if that is the case. Maybe certain people go through phases where they acknowledge that and try and do a bunch of stuff while they still have time. Like, say you have cancer and you have like 2 months to live or whatever. If you're not like keeled over and super bedridden, people are like, oh, I'm going to go travel and go skydiving and do all this stuff. So that happens a lot, but it's not usually something that comes into your mind until you're faced with death in like a more certain way than just the abstract. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. But as humans, we all know. In fact, I had a discussion not too long ago with a very respected friend of mine. I'm going to see this Saturday and spend the night at their house. And I said, you know what? We're the only, because this is what science says, we're the only animals that know we're going to die. other animals have instincts, and when they see a hawk, my chickens run, and other animals have instincts, and they understand imminent danger, but they don't understand that one day they'll no longer be.
Yeah.
And this is something that we spend our entire lives trying to forget that we know.
Yeah. It's a burden, isn't it?
It's a burden. I was thinking today that I was taking a book out in Tiger. To hang on that thought, please, because I love your ideas too. But I was putting some books out. I actually I'm not going to send my thing around, but it was starting to look like an ogre puked in my man cave. So I was cleaning up, and I was taking out some books. I read a lot, and put them on the bookshelf, and it struck me. I wept, girl. I wept like a baby. I put my hand on my bookshelf, and I had to hold myself up at the thought that, and it wasn't because Chris Cornell died. It was because it struck
Hormel?
me.
Was it Hormel?
I'm sorry, Cornell. Yeah, I go.
But your tamales, though.
Thanks for reminding me.
Imagine if you got killed by Hormel tamales. That would have just been sad.
I hope that you would protest them, son of a bitch, because like you said, I should have known better than eating them. I know how they killed it. I know what they do. I know what they are. It's one of my guilty pleasures, but it struck me, and I was overwhelmed with grief at my imminent demise, because I spend all of my time trying not to think about the fact that one day everything will go on around me, above me, when I'm below the ground, and I'm moldering away the endless cycle of seasons. But nothing else will change here. Some people that know me, a very small amount of people will maybe mourn me for a week and maybe think of me for a year, but there'll be very few that would even know I was alive in 100 years. In 1,000 years,
isn't that scary?
Would never exist.
That scares the crap out of me.
It's not. I would say scary, yes, but I would say it's a bummer. It's mournful. It's mournful.
Yeah, I guess it is that.
I was just gonna say, which I've forgotten now. What I was gonna say. Oh wait, well.
Damn, sorry, Tiger. Get it? Yeah, get it.
No, in more recent times, I should have mentioned this before. When it comes to after death, if it's not the case that we, go to a place where all other dead people are at, and there's no time and stuff, and everyone's sort of meeting each other, which I wouldn't be surprised if that's not the case. But if it's not that, then is it just, our consciousness staring into blackness, silent blackness forever? Or do we just stop being conscious and become another soul?
Yeah.
I was kind of intrigued by the idea of us dying and then we become another soul. Like even when I was like 9 or something, I remember thinking, maybe when we die we become someone else's soul, but we don't remember anything about previous lives we've had. I thought that was kind of an interesting idea.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to think about. Like it could be like reincarnation, or also I had that idea, like what if after you die, because they say energy can't be created or destroyed, right? And there is a part of consciousness that I don't know they can entirely quantify by just looking in the brain. There's something else, at least I as a human, an egotistical human, want to think that, but what if that gets transformed to some other way? And then I was thinking, if you are reborn as someone else or something else, would you ever even be you though? Because you would never know. Your neuronal structure would be entirely different. You would have another actual brain, another body.
Well,
would it count?
Clearly we wouldn't be able to remember, because otherwise we'd remember past lives now, and I can't remember any, as far as I know. I don't know. It
is somewhat comforting to think of that, though. It's more comforting than nothing.
But if you do have someone who's, I don't remember what I was going to say now. I think I might have heard Jordan Peterson saying this, or someone else, someone quite clever, who said the only way to to stop your existential crises of being obsessed with the idea of that you're going to die one day is to just openly expose yourself to the idea of death as much as possible. For people who obsess about possibly dying one day or whatever, and that's just the biggest irony about lots of things, really.
And I don't know, because sorry, go on.
No, that's it. Yeah, go on.
So when I was younger and I got on the internet for the first time, I had what you would probably call overexposure. I used to go on like rotten.com all the time. I was on IRC all the time. I was looking at like the most fucked up shit and like faces of death and all that stuff. So I got exposed to like the idea of death because I will like as a human, I don't think it's specific to me. I've always been fascinated with death because it's messed up. One day you're here, the next you're not. But I got exposed to all that stuff, and I don't know if it helped with my question about what happens, but it definitely, I don't know. I don't know if it makes it any better, to be honest.
I guess I've also been so greatly exposed to, not on the internet necessarily, but I grew up watching stuff like Faulty Towers and lots of stuff which just is comedy, which just makes reference to death all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just I'm just completely, there's no taboos about death when it comes to my comedy, so I guess that could be similar in a way, but yeah, it's just
it's hard to have the answers, and I guess that's why people don't think about death all the time or live like there's nothing left, because it's not something we want to think about all the time.
You've got to come to a balance, really. You've got to come to a balance with accepting the fact that you're going to die, but also don't constantly just be living your life and always looking forwards, because you've got to just words.
Yeah. and also religion.
I'm a math student. I do with numbers, not words.
Well, I'm tweaking out. We're talking about death. I went out. I nature called, and then I went out and I actually smoked. I don't smoke very often. I thought, fuck it, we're going to die one day, so I had a little smoke. And now I smell something burning in my house. I don't know.
Don't die in a fire.
We should stop. We should stop talking now.
No, this is going to go on for a wee bit longer because I hope to get a couple more voices. In fact, I'm pretty sure that a couple more will come in a minute. But
do I want to have a smoke? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. People are so inquisitive that we can't let alone the idea of what we're talking about. And Dave, you said something important. You said something about the neural pathways that the brain would be, but the consciousness is not the gray matter up there. The consciousness is you, and you are not a brain. You are something more than that. It's your stomach, your heart, your mind, and we do got a new person here too. So, Lord, I'm glad that you're here. Maybe we can get another opinion. But what were you going to say, Dave? While I worry about my house burning down.
Make sure there's no fire, first of all. But second of all, I was going to say, yes, the brain's not our consciousness, but it's the facilitator of our consciousness, if you know what I'm saying. Like, it's all electrical and, synaptic impulses that give us. Because you can be brain dead. And I don't know. What do you think about people who are, like, completely, not just in a coma, but have no brain, what's the word I'm looking for? Brain function happening. Like, are they conscious? Are they really living? What about that?
The whole idea of consciousness and what is consciousness is more a philosophical thing than a scientific thing, to be honest. And
I think it's both. It's both.
Well, I've not read all science in the world, but as far as I know, there's probably someone who can correct me.
Well,
I just don't know of much of a scientific explanation for.
There's no science to it, Tyre. There's no science. What you're saying, brain dead is dead. I'm sorry, I did cut you right off in the middle of a sentence. I'm sorry about that, because this is baffling my mind, because that's a serious question. So if someone is completely in their right mind but gets in a terrible car accident, suffers complete brain dead, they're a vegetable. Yeah. No, I think that now you have the husk left, and I think that part of us at that point, I think that there are people in the hospital now that are already in Elysium. That's what I'm trying to say.
See, that's hard to wrap your head around, isn't it? I mean, at least for me.
Yeah. For me too, girl. That's why I'm talking about it. It's very hard.
Yeah. thought I was going to be on the philosophy stream later on, but this turned into the philosophy stream. These are like the deepest questions.
I'm only sort of versed in a certain specific kind of philosophy at the moment, not so much existential, but I will, once I have time and I can, don't have to have so much room in my brain for maths, I'll read some more books. I bought some Descartes books the other day, which I was going to read when I had more free time. But I'm sort of more on scientific philosophy at the moment, and like realism and Kuhn and stuff like that.
Well, it's good
sort
to
of specific.
Yeah, it's good to research all different kinds. Sorry, I cut you off.
And don't worry, Beardbarian will have some heavy stuff, Day. I can guarantee you. It'll be just as heavy, maybe different, but it'll be just as heavy.
Oh no, I think today's.
It's now my favorite stream. Beardbarian's is. Even I like it more than mine. He gets some deep stuff going. I love it.
I think we're gonna have drunken shenanigans. I don't know how much we're gonna stay in line with the deep stuff.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if Beard can stay on the drunken shenanigans. He's a lot like me because he's younger than me, so I'm not like him. He's more like he does think about things in a very deep way. Some of his fables that he writes. I mean, if you've ever listened to them, I mean, he really does understand the human condition, and he does understand the tragedy of the human condition, which is what we're talking about now. Uh-oh, I just ruined the whole thing.
No, you didn't. Who's Lord Jesse?
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting on. I want Lord to speak up here, but we'll get him. The mic is muted. I want to hear a different voice of what someone else may think, because look, I could go back to the mythos I believe in, which I am. I mean, that's where I get the idea that we were created by something, and that something does want us to go on, and we do go on in some way. I don't even think, and this is where I'll get probably a little flack, I don't even believe that everybody goes on. But I do believe that if you live up to this higher, I don't even know what to call it, a calling, but if you live up to what you know you should be, if you hear that thing telling you, get up this morning, go do something to better humanity, and you listen to that, even if bettering humanity is something as small as taking a plate of food to your elderly neighbor and saying, you know what, neighbor, you may be 90 now, and most people may see you as irrelevant at this point, but I don't. I see that you've lived a life and that you have wisdom and that you have something that you can give me. I think in that way, we all live on. Hi, Brett. How you doing, brother?
Good evening. How is everyone?
Britisher, hi.
How you doing?
I'm bummed out, Brett, and I want you to come in and tell me that there's life after death, because a great man that I've loved for many years.
I very much enjoyed your little skit the other day. It's very funny.
Oh, well, you're welcome.
I'm not sure I'll get it from you, Brett, but I do want to hear that, what happens, and we can talk about the skit and the happy stuff, but I'd rather do that in like about another 40 minutes, because what happens, Brett? Are we just here for a season? Do we just fade out? Are all of your ancestors on the great island of Britannia, are they all just gone? Or is there a place where the great Lord Nelson and all of the people that came before you gather and drink for eternity and toast one another's successes and look down on us people here and just can't wait till we join them?
Well, the answer that will more than likely hearten you is that it's possible. The thing is, we don't know. We don't know either way. So we can neither negate it, nor can we confirm it.
Deep as always. I agree. But what I want to know, Britt, is if you care to be that transparent or talk about something like this deep in front of all these people that you'll never meet or never know. What do you care? What do you think?
I could imagine, as I say, I mean, as such, I'm an atheist. But once in a while, you do come across something that kind of stumps you. As I say, I'm not an atheist insofar as that I believe that I have absolute certainty in any way. So I'm an atheist sort of on the balance of probabilities more than anything else. But I cannot rule out that I am wrong. I cannot rule out that there is something. And of course, as such, we would all want there to be something.
That's
And
true. If oh, go ahead.
yeah, if there is something out there, then all for the better. But I won't live in expectation of there being something there.
Okay, that actually almost answered my question. I would just ask you this: in your mind, if there was something beyond, does everyone go there, or is there something that we can do to ensure our place in Elysium?
Well, if there is such a thing as if there is an afterlife, then it would kind of follow that more than likely everyone would go there. But because put it like this, if there is an afterlife, that isn't not necessarily to say that there is someone there who eventually, after our lives are done, separates the wheat from the chaff. That is another assumption on top of that. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, it's another layer to it, another step.
But it is unlikely that the nice people will necessarily want to spend all too much time with Hitler. So it would kind of suggest itself that the people would separate themselves from each other, that there would be people who would effectively be eternally shunned by those who had led righteous lives.
Well, and that's and Tiger, so continue, and then I want to follow up with the British, what you just said. Go ahead.
The whole well, certainly from what I can remember when I studied the Gospels in school, the idea of being able to it's easier to pass through the eye for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than to enter the kingdom of heaven. So in the sense that you literally cannot own any sort of world goods or anything if you want to pass through the kingdom of heaven, which is essentially everyone's sins. So it's not really the case, this kind of simplistic good and evil, heaven and hell type thing. I mean, it's certainly, it's quite sort of funny, I suppose, but
true that everyone sins, but surely there is a level of magnitude. So basically, Mother Teresa more than likely sinned.
Of course, yeah.
But she's not quite in the same league as Joseph Stalin.
Oh yeah, man, but Mother Teresa was a horrible person. She was a terrible person. That actually, Britt, I don't know if you ever watched. There's a documentary called the. Oh, and I'm just going to keep talking about tiger tribes, but there's a documentary that's really good that is about Mother Teresa and how that she was not a good person. I'm
so with you on that, Ogre. I know exactly what you're talking about. She's terrible.
She was evil. And so when we look at these things, this is my question though, to Tiger and to everybody. If we're going to talk about sin, and Brett, you even used a word that shocked me. You said righteous. Who is the arbiter? I'm flabbergasted because I heard you say that. Who decides righteous or not?
Well, put it like this: the concept of morality precedes religion. So it isn't as if morality wasn't around prior to there being Christianity, for example. That's why, for example, the Catholic Church defined the righteous pagans. That they basically they conceded that there was some people before Christianity which would be effectively seen as good people because they could not have been sinners for not being Christians because Christianity wasn't around yet.
Mm-hmm.
So in that regard, every religion has to acknowledge this is one of the things that Islam, or should we say the extremists in Islam, has a problem with at the moment. And that is to accept that civilization existed and morality existed prior to a particular religion coming along. So the concept of it, surely, of virtue, the concept of righteousness, the concept of villainy and wrongdoing, that exists long before a particular code of a religion comes along.
Well, I can, I'm a Protestant, but I can easily imagine some sort of human nature that causes us to think this is right and this is wrong before any sort of religious doctrine was written down. Of course, I can believe that. But well, the thing about Islam is it's never had any sort of cultural reformation, and it's and the people who want to are, you know, are sort of suppressed at every turn. And I guess there's a much wider discussion about you know, the ideas of reforming Islam, but that's the main thing really. It has not had a reformation. It's most of these, you know, Muslim majority countries are sort of a dictatorship of a monarchy. Like, you know, they're the monarch of Saudi Arabia and everything, and that sort of used to be the case in England. Everything was sort of dictated by a monarch, but we, you know, worked hard from the inside to slowly make everything more accountable, and it's just not been the case with these Muslim majority countries, and that's the main thing really. And obviously
in Britain we have to understand that, of course, the importance of religion has waned. That is much more the case than, for example, in a place like America, where religion is still quite a dominant force.
I think it's also on its way out.
And it bums me out, Britt, but I'll tell you, the press wants you to believe what you just said, and I believe a lot of people want America to remain this Christian thing. But to be honest, I am a dying thing here. I have faith in what I believe in. I don't express it very much here. I'm letting a little bit of what I think shine through and today, but people like myself that have a firm belief that no, I was created. I do believe that someone gave everything that they had to give away for me. I do believe that people always ask me, Britt, so it's a plan. Did God plan for my X, Y, and Z to happen, or this? Yes. The plan is there was a big controversy somewhere that we don't know about. Maybe the place that we go. And one entity said, my way is best. And another entity said, my way has been going on forever. But if you want to see this way, I won't stop it. Now we see the other way. The other way is greed. The other way is envy. The other way is death and destruction. And the creator that created me and created everyone here, whether you like it or not, takes no credit for the death, the cancer, the destruction, the wars, none of it. This is a social experiment on what will happen if you live by do as thou wilt. Because if you live by do as thou wilt, not by what can I do to serve others, you are dead already.
Can I say something real quick?
Absolutely.
I'm going to put in my 2 cents.
I don't know how much longer you have, Dave, so talk up as much as you like.
What? Okay, so I guess what I was going to say was the Brit's answer to question posed about morality before religion, or sinners versus, you know, whatever. It got me thinking, and I was thinking about what caused us as humans, as a species, to get this innate sense of morality, because I was thinking it's probably, you know, society, we as a species are social creatures. We're not solitary. We are social, not just in like the immediate family sense, but in like as a entire species sense. And especially now with the way the world is, everybody's so connected. All of us are talking to each other. We're obviously a social species. And you would think that morality came from, you know, an innate sense of not wanting to ostracize others. And there's always going to be, you know, those bad people who get off on ostracizing others, who just have that in them for some reason. They want to push the envelope in a bad way, feel, I don't know, powerful within themselves, whatever their reasons. But I think that morality, base morality, comes from just wanting to get along with others. People are not going to like you if you go and kill someone. People are not going to like you if you go steal from them. People are not going to like you if you do, you know, all this fucked up shit. So I think, I don't know. And I'm just, you know, waxing poetic over here. I don't have the answers, but British, you're mentioning that really got me thinking. So my brain's just been over here like, where does morality come from? And I think it's most likely just our species being social creatures, and you obviously don't want to ostracize others because it doesn't further the species.
Can I just say something? Can I say something in response to the British quickly?
Yeah, absolutely. But Dave, you're so much more than a pretty
just about religion in America, and well, just think about America in general is it's just a world of extremes in the sense of, it's a huge landmass, and within that huge landmass, there's many different areas of varying population densities and different settlements, cultures, etc., etc. And when you have these, and it's just a land of so much, I guess, contrast. That's a sort of ideological and cultural contrast. And so you have these quote unquote religious Christian nutjob Bible bashers, and then you have the massive reactionaries, the sort of quote unquote hardcore atheist from that. And I guess that's just more the case in America than in England. And that's just something about America, really.
No. Seriously, when it comes to extreme reactions, like any person who previously was in religion and decided to get out of religion, especially if they had a bad time in religion, no, for the first 10 years of their atheism life, they're gonna be the most horrible cunts in the history of ever. And yes, I do count myself in it.
Not
my
me.
first thing. But were you previously in religion?
Yeah. I grew up Roman Catholic, and I went to Catholic school. And
okay, and was it really horrible? I'm talking about extreme. I'm talking about physical torture sometimes.
Oh, Jesus Christ, no.
Oh, yeah,
no.
of course.
Yeah. That has been my bag. Okay, that has been part of my baggage. Okay, like physical torture, social pressuring, mental torture.
What religion?
Roman Catholicism, the extreme flavors of it.
The worst religion ever in my mind, Roman Catholic, the pagan melding of evil and Christianity that has brought more horror than maybe anything else.
Anyways, like any person that gets outside of religion being mad at it, okay? Everybody that gets out of the temple for the one last time of their life, being mad at religion, for the first 10 years of your life as an atheist, you're gonna be the most horrible cunt ever, period. No matter if you're American or not. Like, I'm sorry, Tiger Son, but
I didn't say it wasn't the case outside America. Well, I didn't mean that. If I said that, sorry.
But you said it was more extreme, and I said no.
Than in England. But
no.
Outside, I'm not obviously. I didn't mean that it was only the case in America. I didn't mean like that. Sorry, man.
Okay.
But yeah, I get exactly what you're saying.
Well, you see, whenever we Brits talk, we never really include the French.
Sorry, Jeremy. They gotta do it to you every time, don't they?
Why would we?
Ew.
Hey, man, I like this guy being on my stream, man. Gotta try to be nice to him once in a while. But I'll say that.
Don't worry, Ogre.
No, and I'm not worried. But this is going to be. We're all going to have different opinions on this. I'm just glad that I'm with a bunch of people that can have different opinions, but maybe respect my craziness, because I'll go to my grave believing that the day I draw my last breath, when I shudder out that last life-giving breath, I believe that my next memory, my next thought, will be in the hallowed halls of Valhalla, a golden goblet in my hand, full of mead, beautiful women everywhere I look, goddesses no less. They're
going to be
every imaginable way. Of course she will. In fact, there at Elysium, she'll be one of my concubines. She just.
I'm gonna be. Day is dead. Apparently, I'm gonna be dead before Ogre is. So.
Just to basically a little bit bounce back also on what Ogre has said. I'm gonna reply to Ogre, because Ogre said, I'm seeing my fellow Americans moving away towards an ideology of do what you should, do what you will, rather than the morality, the moral system of religion. The thing is that even non-believers, they were born and they were raised up and they grew up in a society that is still very much puritanical and very much self-righteous and very much also very emotive. You know, like I always said, it's not a jab taken at American people, because yeah, sure, you can go crazy, get crazy angry, but on the other side, you can go crazy loving.
Crazy loving.
You can go.
That's so true. Us Yanks, we go both ways. We'll go
Yeah.
from
Yeah, of
bullying with you
course.
to like stabbing you in 5 minutes. Is the way it is.
Yeah,
I
I
do-
mean, the Americans are the nation that bombs other nations most, but at the same time, they're also the nation that is the most charitable when it comes to charitable donations to the poor abroad.
They are,
So, and
they are
also
lovely.
and also I have to say it, but the minute Uncle Sam was the one making the decision and say, no, shut the fuck up, he's one of your co-citizen, generally, even if even the other Americans are begrudging it, they're gonna be welcoming. Like, even if there's some that were gonna be begrudging it, like the minute Uncle Sam said, no, motherfucker's American, yeah, they're not gonna go out of their way, you know, like trying to repeal that particular decision, as is the case in other countries that I've been in.
Then there is, of course, also the fact that the Americans made some minor contribution to the fact that us in Europe do not speak German or Russian, but we'll just gloss over that.
How did that happen? I don't know about that.
And I don't even know, because what he's saying is, and that's funny, Britt, but let's face it, we helped.
Oh, I get it.
We did help, but
Bing.
I don't think that, I believe this in my heart. If we would have only contributed what we were already contributing, which is help with steel and raw materials and some weaponry, do you really think the Germans would have overrun Britannia with the great and powerful Winston Churchill at the helm? Fuck that.
The situation was
had to
this,
kill
that
every last one of y'all.
the West helped the Russians considerably with materials. Had the Russians not received that help, they might have lost it. Had the Germans effectively controlled all of Europe from France all the way to Moscow, and then decided to turn around and have another go at the British, we might have had a somewhat harder time.
Yeah.
Let him try.
Don't.
No, I mean, it's all agreed. But so even though Americans and everybody else is different, I think that Jeremy pointed out something very, very important, and I kind of would like to talk about that. It has all of the different religiosities, ranging from Levian Satanism to, you know, Puritanian religion, like a Quakers. Has that ruined the way that we view the afterlife? Has that made it so it's almost impossible to think of other things other than one of two fates when you go?
No, I don't. Like that's the thing, is that you don't even need organized religion to talk and to think about afterlife and to think of what it might look like. Is it even worth it to be thinking about it? Is there such a thing as a soul? Like all those kinds of subjects. Like, you know, I'm gonna tell you, Ogre, it's not. You know, I may be outside of religion, and I may not subscribe to any theism. That doesn't mean that those questions do not bug me, man.
Oh, and I don't. I'll say this, Jeremy. You are part of the great Catholic religion. You may hold, as I often say, people hear me say this a lot, you may hold fast to a crotchet that I don't understand. But brother, if the one that I serve is real, I fully expect to see you in Elysium.
Yeah, and that's the thing also, is that let's go, for example, to the concept of there's only one God. Okay, let's imagine there's only one God. Second line of the condition of the scenario. Motherfucker is the creator of each and every single thing that exists. Okay. You really think that a guy who would have went to the trouble of creating the entirety of the universe would discard any single one of his children that did his or her absolute best to be a good person?
No way.
I don't think so.
In fact, the creator himself says that those that knew the master's commands and didn't obey them were beaten with many stripes, which it's hard for me to understand what that means. Beaten with many
But then
stripes.
again,
But those that didn't know were beaten with few. So Britt,
if I can just interject, doesn't it really depend on the way you would regard God? If that is a God and he created the entire universe, could it just be that given the sheer vastness of the universe, that he is much too busy preventing the galaxies from colliding and things like that happen to actually notice what would to him more than likely be the equivalent of mold growing on an old piece of round cheese that is currently circling the sun?
Can he?
good point.
Can he even interact with it? I don't know. Does he want to interact with it? I don't know. Like, for example, I'm gonna thought experiment for a second. Let's say I am God for just a second. I created the universe. I created the universe in each and every single thing that existed. Why did I did it? Did nobody, even God, create something for zero fucking reason? Nobody.
Perhaps you were just bored.
It's still a reason.
Yep.
It is still a reason for creation.
No, I mean, I think we've all seen the same thing. You know, I mean, over here it tends to be footballers. I mean, Jeremy will know what I mean. Over in America, I assume other sportsmen do very much the same thing. You know, be it baseballers, basketball players, whatever. Where you see a footballer, he gets substituted onto the pitch, and the first thing he does is make the sign of the cross on his chest. And you just think, I'm sorry, friend, but if there is a God, I really don't think he will care for the result of this match.
You just want to be entertained.
You know, that basically, at some point, things will surely become too small, too infinitesimal for a God to actually care about it.
And even if he cares about the match, he is God. He has no dog in this race. What he wants is good sportsmanship. So give it to him, you fuckers.
He gave us free will. That's the general theory. And that's why you can say, well, why does God allow such terrible things to happen? And is it he gave us free will on Earth too?
Yeah.
And, we've got to come to our own.
That is true. That is true insofar that it refers to our free will. So, for example, if it is a matter of evil things being done by other evil people, that could be said is a result of free will. But if it's a matter of a 5-year-old kid getting eye cancer, that is not a matter of free will. So that is one where some people who might even be believing in God question the goodness of God, because why would he allow such horrible things to happen to people who cannot do anything? It's not through any of their fault that this occurs to them.
I'm just, in general, I'm just not convinced of a God who interacts with the world he's created.
And that's
created
I don't either.
In the general sense of the word created.
But I want to go back, but before Tiger, please, because Jeremy wanted to pop in. So before I let everybody cut loose on this, remember, if you believe in God or at all, then you have to believe in what he says. And he says that this is a social experiment, that he is only allowing to happen what people wanted and entities wanted to have happen. And that is, we want to see what it would be like if this being that used to serve you and walk among the stones of fire was in control. And now I would say in this world that we live in, we see the result. It's death, destruction, war, hatred. You have people that follow this being cutting themselves and doing all these strange rituals and killing children and killing things, and they say it's part of the social experiment. So Jeremy, I know you were trying to speak, and then because we got a couple people in here, I'm going to go on for about another hour. Yeah, I'm not going to step on the Beardbarians. So go ahead, Jeremy, and then Tiger.
Yeah,
I hope what you're going to say again.
I basically said that on free will, Christians of yore, be they Catholic or Protestants or Orthodox, would disagree with you on free will, like Christians of back in the days. Like back in the days, they conceived their religion as very deterministic. It's very, very deterministic.
But
Oh, yeah,
in order for there to
predetermination.
be sin, there needs to be free will, does there not? And they definitely believed in sin.
No, yeah, of course they did. Yeah, I don't know enough on this subject at the moment because I've been to discuss it much, but I have discussed it, with other people, but not in a while, so I'm not the most best prepared to discuss the full. And that sounds a bit pathetic. I know. Sorry, it sounds like I'm chickening out. But
no, don't worry. Like it's not chickening out to say I don't know.
Yeah. No. Well, just at this current moment in time, and I do like this sort of discussion, but
it is a strength of be it reminded whether you are a Christian or not, or a Muslim or a non-believer. It is a trait of strength of character to say you don't know. It takes courage to admit you don't know something.
I guess just to the idea though of I don't really believe that it's only through religion that, or through some sort of with reference to some sort of deity or in the name of a deity. It's not just that there have been significantly. It's not just been the case that people have been, I don't know, oppressed or under,
Oh, you don't need an ideology. You don't need an ideology to be religious.
You don't need a deity.
You don't need an ideology to be religious in any way, shape, or form for it to go south.
Thing that's just happened a lot in human history, and gradually it is getting better. I mean, that is definitely the case. It's a very slow, gradual change, but gradually it is getting better. I mean, murder rates are going, and things like rape rate, they're all going down very gradually in the entire world. The world is becoming better, but it's just this thing that's just happened. There's been
the problem is that the few problems that are left are getting more extreme as we.
Yes, this whole thing with ISIS in the Middle East that has set us back, but in general, things are getting better in the entire world.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying, is that as we gradually get to a bigger social warmth, what is a sign of social coldness is not only striking you out as being more extreme, because it is generally getting a little bit more extreme. Like there is an element of it's getting a bit more extreme, but on top of that, because the overall human population gets more socially warm, then coldness does strike out even more. So not only is it actually more extreme in some cases, but on top of that, it forcibly appears to be more extreme because we're used to the social warmth surrounding us.
Yeah. I mean, you could certainly just see what's happening with ISIS or whatever, and just assume these things. But it's that's just social media and stuff, isn't it?
Hello, Arian.
I don't. And listen, folks, let me break in as the host. I'm trying to be a good host today. I just want to congratulate Beard Barian on some things, but also I want to say that I don't know how much longer Day is Dead will be here, and I'm only going to do this about another.
I was just about to say I think I'm going to head off now. Sorry, Beard Barian.
That's all good, man.
Nice talking to you, Tigerson.
You too. Lovely discussion. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much for showing up early too, Nate, and getting into this deep topic.
That's right. And rest in peace, Chris Cornell.
Yep.
Poor guy. Very, very sad. Very, very sad. Anyway. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you so much. It's hard for me to remember that they're 5 hours ahead of us right now, so it's 9:30 there, and he's very busy with his studies and whatnot. But that said,
nice guy.
We have Beard Barian here, and Jeremy, you and I think are in our cups a little bit, so we're going to try to do our best to not cut in, even though we probably both will. That's why you're here, because you're like me. So anyway, I want to start with Beard because I don't know I know you're very busy today, and I don't expect you to have had the live stream on. But
I finished my extra stuff. I now have my steaks ready and booze prepared.
Yay!
Did you hear anything about this conversation, or if not, I would like to prompt you on a question or two.
I caught like the last 2 minutes before I popped in. I just ran it while I was having a puff.
Well, I knew you were busy, so what we've been talking about is Chris Cornell. Apparently, he hung himself at the MGM casino and hotel in Detroit, Michigan, about 100 miles from where I'm at right now. And I started to ponder if this great person that is one of my heroes that taught me that I should look at sometimes sad things, Beard Barian, just like yourself, you've taught me that I listen. I've now listened to every last one of your fables at least twice. Sometimes some of them I listen to while I go to bed. I've made myself a little playlist, and I listen to your because it's the idea that, hey, if you don't think that your brother could find it in his heart to kill you, well, then you're stupid. So because you have all these things in your head, am I crazy to think that maybe there's something else beyond what I see and touch here? Is Chris Cornell on his way across the river Styx? Has he paid the ferryman? Is he going to Elysium as we speak?
You're not crazy to think so. It's from a historical perspective and the romantic one that I hold to. These beliefs and these systems help us to accept not only the loss of others that we care about deeply, but also to accept the nature of our own mortality. And there are many beautiful poetic images that I like to believe in as well that definitely help me get through the period. But
would you share some of those with us today, sir, or no?
I definitely can, but it requires a grain of salt in knowing that I'm very odd when it comes to death. I'm not bothered by death, including tragedies like these. It's unfazing and beautiful to me. When I regard the end of someone's life, it's not the end of their life. It's not something to be sad about. It's the conclusion of their story. We can now examine everything that they've done, everything that they've been and lived, and conclude our own messages, the same that we do with the fables that I write from their lives. And
it's a conclusion that we get to see. Whether or not they open up a new chapter, we will not be able to see.
Yes.
Until we start, that particular phase ourselves.
Exactly.
If there is another phase to be started, but if there is another phase to be started, we are denied to see what's happening on the other side until we get on the other side.
Which is it just hit me that I haven't asked you specifically. So if you'll bear with me and give the Beard Barian about at least 8 minutes here, because you'll notice that I'm going to be quiet too. And with this topic, it's very difficult for me because I'm telling you, you and I need to get together. Maybe kiss once or twice, have a little absinthe, and just have a party one day. But for today, for right now, so Beard Barian, if there is something else out there, could you share with us what it may be? Where is Chris right now? What possibly is he just? And you even said that you don't. Maybe he's not gone. And if so, I don't flabbergast out. You understand what I'm asking?
Yeah, I totally get what you're getting.
And
I believe
Beard Barian, sorry, before you answer the question, I'm just gonna duck out, you guys, and I will be on your stream later.
Yes.
Okay.
I will see you in a couple hours.
All right.
Love you,
see you
man.
guys
Love
later.
you.
Love you all. Bye.
Hey, mama, look at little sister out in the backyard dancing like a twister. Bye, Dick.
But I believe simultaneously in two.
Oh, come on! No, go ahead, Bearder. Sorry, it's just like God is being mad at me that I'm drinking absinthe and has decided to send thunderclaps right next to my face.
Let's let him go, because now that he's got, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pass it because I already got the Brit a little bit. But if he's going to hang in here for about another, I don't know, a couple minutes, because I'm going to give Beard Barian now. You got about 8 minutes. So where is he? Where could he be? Did he pay his dollar? Is he going across the river Styx? Will I see him in Valhalla? Is Valhalla crazy? Will it be Elysium? Will it be heaven? What is it? What's going to happen?
So I believe in two fundamental principles when it comes to the concept of an afterlife. This has been my belief for a while, and it's not one that I share with a lot of people, in the sense that I don't find many people that agree with me. It remains my belief, and that the principles of heaven and hell beyond death are the conclusion, not necessarily of just, as well as when it comes to Valhalla and other such symbols as well of places that we go, that it's not how we die or how we live, but what we are feeling and experiencing when we die that lasts for eternity. If we follow these systems of belief, we live in such a way that when we die, we stay in this state because we died in this state. And that's just been one theory that I continue to operate with. And the other is that we go wherever we believe in most. But fundamentally, it's all this. If it were to exist as a space, it is a all coinciding multiverse thing. Everything is existing at the same time interchangeably. There was a Robin Williams movie that really did a nice job of kind of what dreams may come, showed it really interesting. Everybody has their own personal heaven. I believe in that personal heaven principle, but it's whatever you believe that you will meet, you find. So if you are a devious person who believes in Catholicism, for example, well, you're probably going to go to hell because that's what you chose to believe in. To your end.
Damn. Unless you weren't done, I'm going to ask Jeremy the same question.
That is it. That is all of it.
I got to say that of everything I've heard tonight, that lines up closest with what I believe, right there. So Jeremy, if again, and I know that I've tried to stop you, and I've had to stop myself a few times, so I know you got a lot to say about this. You've already heard the question, is there something else? Is my hero, Chris Cornell, right now crossing the river Styx to meet his final destiny of being a hero in the hallowed halls of Elysium?
Maybe, maybe not. Personally, I don't know, and I don't want to make a final stance. But because I don't know, it is my duty personally to look upon the beliefs of all of my fellow co-citizens of the earth, because whether you fucking like it or not, this vessel is a vessel. This planet of ours is a boat on which every single one is a member of the crew. We are all on the same boat. We share the exact same vessel in the vast chasm of space. And right now, we can't jump ship. We don't know how to jump ship. And until we know how to jump ship, everybody's going to have to cooperate. I'm sorry. It sucks maybe in the eyes of people that have very different opinions with one another, very differing opinions, but that's the reality of the world we're living in. We are all on the same vessel, and we can't jump ship, so we have to cooperate. So to me, though that I don't know, I need to investigate all possibilities. And given that I don't have a belief of my own, maybe I can introduce you to one of the beliefs that I find quirky and funny and also kind of confusing sometimes, is the belief of my fellow Japanese men that do have the Shintoism religion tied to themselves. They believe in a soul, but they also believe in the essence. They believe that their personality is the manifestation of their essence. And the essence is basically what they were in this particular life, like what shape their soul has taken in this particular life of theirs right now. And once they're going to be dead, their soul is going to be rid of its essence. It's going to be born anew once digested by shinigamis, which are basically in Shintoism the equivalent of the Reaper in Judeo-Christian religions. The Reaper, the Great Death. So shinigamis do separate the essence and the soul in their system of belief. Do separates the essence and the soul by digesting both of them, like digesting, like the whole that is soul and essence once you die. And the essence is going to pop out, and therefore all of the memories and the personalities of a dead person is still going to be lingering here inside our world as an energy that eventually at some point is going to vanish. But their soul is going to move on to another earthly life. But their essence is going to get to carry on in a new phase of existence, watching over to their own children and to their own brethren.
Well, I'll tell you, this is all encouraging. Oh, go ahead. This is all encouraging to me, though, I'll tell you. To hear these thoughts from people that have vastly different belief systems than I do, it's very encouraging that there could be possibly, even the British brother, that meant something to me, Britt, because I thought you were going to go, really, Mr. Ogre? You young upstarts, you really think that you will go on? You live but one life, sir. I expected something very, very along those lines. So it gives me hope that I'm not the only one that's crazy. I'm sorry if I cut you off, Jeremy, because I've got.
No.
Look, he's not the only one that died today. Can anyone on the panel name someone else famous that died today in the United States?
I don't know.
Roger Ailes. Roger Ailes, the founder of Fox News. He was accused of fondling the blonde girl that Megyn Kelly and others. Anyway, he died too. Why am I not talking about Roger Ailes? Because he surely will not be in Elysium, sir. There's no way. He did nothing for society. He's a fear porn monger. The world is better with him gone. I don't care if anybody hates me for saying that. I watch Fox News when I watch the news. Does that mean I think Roger? And look, I'm really trampling on you right now, Jeremy.
How ungrateful of you to say that, Buford.
I was waiting for it. Well, but my paychecks ended as soon as he died, mate. What do you expect from him?
But yeah,
you know I'm a Jew. I'm only in it for the money. The shekels, baby.
Do know that in the comment section in that on that clip, there was actually one guy. It's already worked out that Buford came from Smokey and the Bandit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Incredibly sharp, those people.
And I got to say something, Beard Barry. And I see you cranking your neck. You're going to be streaming a long time tonight. I'll definitely.
Yesterday was 9 hours.
Yeah. So don't. I'm just going to tell you. I'm going to get to you with at least one more question if you stay. But everybody on the panel, I've got a lot to say about this, and I'm not going to go a ton longer. So whatever happens, Beard, you know what, man? Like I tell everybody, and you're up on the top of my list. In fact, I have probably my top 3. I'm not even gonna lie. If anybody else is offended, it's only because Cabby is working right now, or he'd be one of the top 3. But I have my top 3 right here. The men that I humbly respect the most.
Could I actually put one question that might actually interest you? And that is, if you believe in an afterlife, and given that we are talking of a musician who has deceased here, what do you believe the musicians do when they enter the afterlife?
Oh, they rock on.
I put it in my. I did the song that I started the stream out today. I did an acoustic version of "Hunger Strike" by Temple of the Dog. What a excellent. They called it super band because it really was. But I did that, and at the end, and in fact, listen, what they do is they play rock and roll forever. They have groupies waiting at the back door. And there's 10 silver saxes of bass with a bow. And the drummer relaxes and waits between shows for the cinnamon girl to come.
So in your mind's eye, you've got Chris Cornell right now up there playing along with, I don't know, Elvis, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and Beethoven.
Yes, Beethoven's there, and Britisher. I'm waiting to take my place behind the drum throne one day and to play into eternity with set after set of beautiful music that talks about life, love, envy, hatred, jealousy, revenge, all of the wonderful things that make us evil, dangerous humans.
Can you imagine the tantrums of them throwing each other out of the band?
No, but see, in the place that I go, mate, there is no band. The bands are gone. The place that I go to, the place that Chris, I believe, is almost probably there. I don't know how long the journey is. Maybe it takes 1,000 years. I don't know. I don't know how wide the river is.
I mean, Mozart and John Lennon are more than likely quarreling for the last 30 years.
Oh, I doubt it. You don't think Mozart could get on the keys, man, with a synthesizer that you can't even imagine? And you don't think he could play along?
See, every step further that you take in this, I'm just picturing heaven as it existed in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
You got it.
Station.
There's a story called Rock and Roll Heaven by Stephen King. And it's a horror story for the morons that happen to take the wrong turn and find themselves in rock and roll heaven. And they see Billie Holiday on the corner, and they're like, Billy, the guy that died in the plane crash. I'm not gonna be able to say Peggy Sue. You know, they see this guy in the corner, and they're starting to see all these rock and roll stars. And eventually, they start seeing them that they're messed up and stuff. And then at night, there's this big concert that starts. And Britt, there's no band. That's what this is the point of this to put a conclusion on what could take me an hour to say. There's no band, mate. There is no quarreling, because all it is a wonderful band of musicians in Elysium, entertaining the fallen heroes of yore. Forever, me awaiting my turn at the drums, me awaiting my turn at the bass. It may take me 1,000 years to get my turn, Would I then quarrel with the singer because I was finally on stage to perform in front of the innumerable heroes that have died before me? Hell no. If I was going to do that, I would be in rock and roll hell.
But that's a good question. Would there be such a thing as rock and roll hell?
In my mind,
All
absolutely.
the bad musicians who did the terrible music, would they be all sent to rock and roll hell?
In my mind,
No, it's all AC/DC fans.
But
Are all the former winners of the Eurovision Song Contest somewhere in hell?
let me return you the question, Britisher, with this. Maybe you're not that much of a Slayer fan, but do you really think that Tom Araya, so lead guitar and lead vocals of Slayer, who is a staunch Catholic, do you really think that if there is such a thing as an afterlife, that the first thing that he's going to ask to God is not going to be for a guitar? Do you really?
First thing he asks, where's my amplifier, God?
Yeah. Bro, where's my amplifier?
When does the gig start?
Yeah.
Savior of mine? That would be the first. I'm sorry, he was supposed to answer that, but I don't know if he has an answer. He probably thinks we're just fucking crazy. And yes, Brent, you can correct me on air. It was Buddy Holly that I was so desperately trying to think of. I can't believe I didn't just spit it out. It's unfortunate, but my British friend not only knows more about Roman history than me, which kind of bummed me out because I thought I was really up on the stuff, but he does seem to know more about our pop culture than I do, and that fucking pisses me off too, Brett. You know, do you do anything but study and learn?
Whenever you go into metal and that sort of, the kind of the sort of long-haired head-banging types, that's when you all completely lose me. That's where I have absolutely no idea.
We need Razor Fist for that shit, don't we?
Precisely, yes. I think you may remember that when we had Razor Fist on, I sort of zoned out for about half an hour because it went into sort of metal territory, and I had absolutely no idea what anyone was talking about.
But that's why I gave you details. Like, the guy is a staunch Catholic, so he does believe in an afterlife. And if he gets to go to heaven, do you really think that the guy, that this musician who's been rocking on for 40 years of his life, do you really think that it's not going to be his first question? Like, where's my guitar?
Well, you see, God may well have a very good sense of humor. So when this guy is standing there in his long white tunic with his angel wings and says, "Where's my guitar?" God may hand him a harp and say, "Go sit on that cloud there."
Well, that's rock and roll hell you're describing, sir. That's not heaven at all. You struck my funny bone on that one, Nate.
Well, that would lead that would work, for that would work for a rock and roll star that is a single instrument person. But how do you make that sense of humor work with a guy like Billy Corgan who can play an entire symphonic orchestra on his own?
Well, what I was thinking is, would it be
or something?
You give him a theremin.
A theremin. And I was imagining it wasn't like the cool harp that cost $40,000, the big harp. I was imagining it would give him one of those little
the tiny little one.
Carry on, Sheriff. It'd be like a naked little, fucking thing. No, that'd be rock and roll. So what I want to do, look, I've got, because I didn't realize that I beard Barian, for somebody that follows "Do as thou wilt," and that should be the whole of the law. You sure do follow the rest of it. And I think in my life I've met only maybe a dozen people that are as giving and as kind and as charitable and just as stand-up fella like you are, man. So I'm not going to stay on here too much longer. And you and the British are the main reasons, because me and Jeremy would drink and for probably 5 days. It's like the only thing we'd need is Cabbage Patch Bastard. We'd never shut the fuck up. So we got to close this eventually. So I guess I'm going to do this. I got one more question. It's to be a very simple one. Everybody can answer very quickly. And then I want to know if any of you all have any final questions for me, because I haven't really said a whole lot. I mean, I've said that I would like there to be and all this stuff. What it is I'll start with Jeremy and I'll work my way to Beard Barian. Would you like there to be an afterlife, Jeremy?
I don't know. I would be... That's the thing, like, I'm a forever curious person, so if there's such a thing as an afterlife and it's the last stage and it's eternal, I would spend my eternity sciencing, mate. Like, I hope, seriously, if there's such a thing as an afterlife, I hope that said afterlife is allowing me to learn, Because if it doesn't allow me to learn, God has a wicked sense of humor. God would have a very wicked sense of humor then. No, seriously, I would be like, if there's such a thing as an afterlife and there is a God. Oh man, so many questions, dude.
Yeah.
So many.
The answer for you is yes, you would like there to be an afterlife if you could spend it in research and learning.
Yeah, dude, you created the universe. Yeah, let's talk it out.
That's wonderful. So, Richard, same question to you. Would you want there to be one?
Well, I would be one of those difficult customers who would effectively, if it turned out there was an afterlife, I would be the one who would want to speak to some of the people in the afterlife before I went in there, because the concept of something being eternal sounds very, very boring eventually. So if it basically can be arranged so that the afterlife is actually an interesting place to be, without after 500 years you just wanting to kill yourself without the option.
What if the wealth of knowledge that you can acquire is completely infinite?
Then it might be something. Otherwise, it might just prove intolerable. But as such, more than likely, the afterlife would be quite a good place to be. Because after all, God would be English.
No, he's not. He's Scottish, sir.
So, Beerbarian?
Yeah, beer would be the last one, but that was great. So beer, and then this, I'll have another question after this, after y'all ask me one, but it'll only be for people that want to stick around. So Beerbarian, and I want to go deeper with you, and it's only because I love you, Brett. I love you, Brett. You're a very intellectual person, but God bless you, you're not much of a philosopher, are you, mate? And so, that said, and I think everyone knows that you're more of a straightforward science kind of guy. Beerbarian, not only would you like there to be one, but if you would like there to be one, what would your Elysium look like?
I do and don't want there to be one. I would love for there to be one in the essence that I, believe that we get what we believe that we'll get. That'd be great. If I can live in my own pocket dimension eternity, doing what I want to do, fantastic. If I can't, I'd like to be reborn, because always learning and considering new perspectives is what I do now, and I'd like to do it for the existence of all time. That'd be great. Whether it's as a new human being or as my new pocket dimension self, where in that ideal place I would be living out a very romanticized Catholic existence, where I would be fighting demons for all eternity and avenging the corruption that human beings have placed upon the earth by slaying the spiritual remnants of their poor decisions.
And give the guy a D20, damn it.
Yeah.
So we're kicking away from the music, but that's great. The D20 is actually, I believe that's a Martin guitar. Martin, that's a beautiful guitar.
No, D20.
Oh, a 20-sided die, but a D20 is also a Martin guitar. So anyway, yeah. So is that it? I mean, so you would be living out this thing? That's fine. So is there any questions if you're finished? And if not, continue. All right, so just so that I can let everybody go, if anybody has a question for me, I'm going to sing a song, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about what's happened today with Roger Ailes. I promised everybody to talk about Scoopgate yesterday, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that and the allegedly treasonous stuff that Trump did. Probably about 15 minutes is all. And then I'm going to hope to get an invite to a badass stream tonight and maybe just chill out and drink some beer. So any questions for me? Does anybody want to know what I think, really, without all the bullshit that I've been spewing today? Because really none of it is what I believe.
Well, since we had all three persons saying basically roughly the same thing, that they want to be able to learn new things and experience new things, like the eternity not looking the exact same thing every day, not looking like a routine, that's basically being faced with the possibility of still being learning, so that even the afterlife is an endless wealth of that. Basically, the universe is just a gigantic classroom. Do you view it the same way, Mr. Ogre? Do you want the universe to continue, even the afterlife part of the universe, to continue to be a giant classroom?
Yes, and I believe it will be.
Okay. So we're on the at least we are all on the same page on this one. We want to continue to learn and continue to experience new things.
Man, I got a request right now to play my Iceman. I'll tell you what, RPR. Tomorrow will be the normal church. This is a special service. This is my day off. I wasn't supposed to be live streaming right now. I was hoping to do it later, but not now. And I did this because a hero of mine died, and simultaneously some fat jackass died. And so I started wondering, you know, is there what do other people think about this? Is Ailes going to get his comeuppance? Is Cornell going to get what he deserves? And what may those things be? So yeah, I think that the life that we're in right now is a learning process. I believe very similar to Buddhists. I think that what you do with this life, and also Hindus, a lot of religions, what you do with this life is your resume for the next life.
Yeah.
So anybody else, Barrett and Britt, you could ask me anything, and I will answer it honestly.
All right, then I've got a fun one for you. Ogre, what is your idea, perception, or belief around the creation of a soul or the placement of a soul into a living body?
And God formed man out of the dust of the earth, breathed into his nostrils the breath and the ability to live, and man became a living soul. The combination of clay, of dirt, and the spirit and spark of the Almighty God creates a soul. If you lose either one of those, if the clay part of me is destroyed by a terrible fire or a car accident, then that spark is gone, and I'm no longer a soul. If for some reason like Dave said, I'm in a car accident and the soul of me is destroyed, but the clay part is still here, and Beard Barry can come up with a cigar out in my face, and I'm just like, well, I'm no longer a soul. The creation of a soul is the combination of dirt, which you will become again one day, and the spark of God.
All right.
Okay, I would have one for you. And that is discounting any ancestors and relatives of yours. Should you enter the afterlife and you go into heaven, whom would you seek out to speak to?
Oh.
You mean you only want to give me? You want me to give you one or my top five?
Oh, it can be your top five, as many as you like, really.
The very first human that I would want to speak to is a person called Jesus of Nazareth. I would want to know how it was that he had the ability to ruin this world and say, you know what, the social.
Yeah, you want to.
Hang on a second, man. If I got to do it again, I'll mute you. Don't do it while we're doing this. I'll let you run off when we're having parties. But right now, man, you just fucked up my idea, man. I love you, man. I'm drunk too. Just relax. So the first person would be Jesus of Nazareth, and obviously the name alone triggered Jeremy. And what I would want to know is how, being that he had all power and could destroy this social experiment that started with a certain being that he created, starting a controversy in this faraway land that I don't really know much about. I'd want to know how he dealt with it. How that when I have my limited amount of power and influence, and you've been, Brett, you've had to work for this person I'm talking about right now, whether you know it or not, because you seem to be upset and wanting instant vengeance. And you've talked reason to me, and we don't have to really go into depth about that. We both know it's true. And when I listened to you, I didn't listen to you. I listened to this human that I want to speak to. I would say my second would be Paul of Tarshish, because he was shipwrecked 5 times. He was stoned. He was beaten with 49 lashes minus 1, I think 7 or 8 times. He was, you can go through. And the guy was so dedicated to what he believed. And I love dedication. I love it when someone says, I will do this, and I do it. Number 3, that's pretty easy for me. It'll be David Bowie. And I would just want to know, hey, man, when you wrote Let's Dance, what were you doing? Everybody says you were all high and on drugs, but what was going on, and what influenced you to write the song? Let's dance, ding, 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 that bump, 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 dum, 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 bump, dum, bump, dum, bump, bump. I think it's the best hook ever written. What a genius. Number 4 will be my grandfather, Doc Irvin. And, rounding up number 5 will be my dad, Dean Irvin, my biological father. I have reasons for those last 2, but I already went on pretty long, and I'm not going to give them. So that's it. That's my top 5. And now everyone has a deeper view into the Ogre. don't treat me roughly or abuse me, unless you're a troll, then have at it. I like it too. I'll troll you back. But don't treat me roughly or look down on me because I have my strange crotchet of the Catholic religion. Because you have yours. Don't be holier than thou with a beard bearing because he's a Luciferian, because he follows Levian magic. I believe he's really, and I say that with respect, beard bearing.
Well, it's not me, it's the missus.
Right. Thank you, sir. And I'll say it. He tries to be, in fact, he is. He's much wiser than me because I just let my guard down a bit, didn't I? But I'll say, whatever it is, don't judge him. Don't judge the Britisher because he doesn't even give a shit, because he wants to be a Briton and keep a stiff upper lip and take care of his family and do the diligence that he does on a day-to-day basis and bring you introspective news. Don't judge Jeremy. Don't judge any of us, because in the end, if what I believe is true, or what if you believe is true, it doesn't matter, does it? Because you want me to believe you. I want you to believe me. And I will quote I will quote Ishmael right now. When this is going to be read next week, folks, so look out for Moby Dick. It's coming back. We're gonna get deeper into Queequeg and Ishmael's relationship. But Ishmael is there, and he's watching Queequeg, and he knows Queequeg is getting ready to do what we just read about. He's getting ready to kindle his fire and pray to Yojo. And this is what Ishmael thinks to himself. He says, well, he's about ready to worship this god. It would be blasphemy. It would be idolatry if I join in with him. But what would God want of me? But to treat Queequeg as I would want to be treated. And what would I want of Queequeg? But he would join with me in my Presbyterian form of worship. Would it be wrong of him to do that? Would it be blasphemy for him to bow his knee and sing a hymn or two? I think not. And what God wants me to do is to do to Queequeg as I was have done to me. So I must turn idolater. I'm not asking anybody to compromise their core position, their core beliefs, what makes them fundamentally who they are. I'm just going to say what I say all the time. Don't be the oak tree. Don't try to be the mighty oak tree that won't bend, because the wind blew here today in the plains at 60 miles an hour. And I saw lots of oak branches broken, but I've lived in Florida. And I've watched storms blow through with 140 mile an hour sustained winds for 6-7 hours straight. I've stood in the eye of a hurricane, my own self, many times. And those palm trees that I watched hitting the ground, 60 feet palms, touching the ground with the tops, were there the next day, smiling at the sun. And you couldn't tell anything happened to them. Did they compromise their core beliefs? No, they couldn't. Because if they didn't draw the nutrients up from the soil, they wouldn't live. They would die. They didn't compromise anything. What they did was be flexible. And if I don't listen to Jeremy, Day is dead. Who else was here? Oh, Tigerson, Beard Barian, and I would say humbly to all of y'all, most of all, the very logical and Spock-like Britisher, I would be a fool. I would be the oak tree that was here and strong and looks so mighty and housed so many birds and the beautiful, but then the storm comes along and the oak is gone. I would much rather be the humble palm. Birds would still roost in my branches. Little lizards would live there. I'll go on forever. So folks, listen, whatever you've heard today, I know I took this down a dark path. I know that we've been talking about death and destruction and the end of life the entire time that this thing has gone on. I've made sure that it stayed that way. The reason why, Beard Barian, I needed to hear your opinion on this. Jeremy, all of y'all, I needed to, because I also fear the afterlife, Beard. I also wonder what's going to happen. Will it be good? But I, in my heart of hearts, know that it's going to be good. So look, unless there's one last thing, and I shouldn't even probably do this because, I don't know. But I'm going to play a song. It's called I Shall Be Released. Church out there in the congregation, I sent the link out there. When the song is done, I am not going to mention any kind of death, but I do hope that I can impose on my friend the Britisher for just about 15 minutes after, because I would love, and anyone else that would like to stay, except for you, Beard, you need to go get some you need to go chill.
Yeah, I gotta rest before I start doing my shit.
You need to get your fucking mind right, mate. I know. You got a big job tonight. So I'm not kicking you out, but you really got a big job tonight. So.
No, I am going to go, but I'm going to listen to the song and to the rest of the stream on the speakers, though. So
and I'm looking for a verbal commitment because I've had a shitty day. Would I be possibly invited? And if I am, I won't say anything unless you call
Yeah, you can absolutely come on in. We're just going to be getting drunk this time instead of doing like the themes like I did with last time. This time it's just I've got a bunch of questions. We're going to drink and we're going to mull over these questions.
Yeah, I know, but you know me when I get to drinking, and I've already been doing it, so that's why I said that, because I thought you may be a little trepidatious about having a drunken ogre on. I will be muted until you call on me,
I
sir.
will mute you. Like, don't worry about it.
Beard, I don't care who likes this or don't like it. You are second only to the British or to my online confidants, and I look up to you, even though you're much younger than me. I really appreciate your friendship, and whatever happens in the future, there's no way that I could repay you for your friendship, sir. You're a stand-up guy, as we say.
Friendship is its own payment.
God bless you. You're a bonded brother, to quote your own son. So here we go. Any other last things, Britt? Are you going to be able to stay? And if not, also, British, I know you're very busy. It's late as shit there. If you got to go, I'll talk about Roger Ailes and stuff at the end. This will take just a minute. Any other last things? Because here it goes.
Yes, one last thing for everybody listening today. As I was saying a little bit earlier, hinting at the story of life, when you start to fear death or to think about what's going to happen at the end, take solace in knowing the kindnesses that you've committed in your life, and think of the greater virtues that others can learn through your existence, and know completely that there is value in your life, and that as you can every single day, you add only another page to the wonderful story that is you. Don't be afraid. Your story will be glorious.
You ain't gonna make me cry, dude, so just leave now. That was
romance.
Oh,
Picking up from the way I was described earlier, I really have only one word. Fascinating.
It is. And I'm glad you were here, Brett. I know in my heart of hearts, I was hoping that you weren't bored to tears. But here we go. This little song, maybe this will be better. This is I Shall Be Released. Why am I playing I Shall Be Released? If y'all don't know it by now, you shouldn't be in church. Because a great man died today. Somebody that I look up to. 4-octave range. Bested only that I know of by Roy Orbison, the immortal Roy Orbison, who is in rock and roll heaven as we speak. They had a 5-octave range, which for a male is otherworldly. So, a song by Bob Dylan was made famous by the band, and they say everything can be replaced. Every distance is not near. So I remember every face of every man who put me here. Here's the fun part, church. If you looked up the lyrics, I'm about ready to sing the chorus. So if you're at home and you're alone right now, or if you're with somebody, please, it doesn't matter if you sing on key, but if you're in church, if you're on the panel, shut up, because it'll mess the whole thing up. Everybody else, sing along. So here we go. I see my light go shining from the west into the east. Every day now and any day now, oh, I shall be released. They say every man needs protection. They say that every man must fall. Yet I can see my reflection shining so high above the wall. Everybody come on, you know you want to. I see my light go shining from the west unto the east. Any day now, any day now, oh, I shall be released. Standing next to me in this lonely crowd is a man who's not to blame. And all day long I hear him shouting loud. It's crying out that he's been framed. shining from the western to the east. Any day now. Oh, Chris has been released. We'll do it one more time, folks. Come on, church. I see my light go shining from the western to the east. Any day now. Oh, I shall be released. And I really hope that Mr. Cornell, if he is on his way to Valhalla to await us, to Elysium if he's awaiting me, that he finds a very safe journey across the river Styx. And I did my own sort of ritual today, and Mr. Cornell, I paid the ferryman. Your way's clear. It's up to you to go.
As my dad and most French people put it, dude, you got a beautiful organ, and my ear pussies just came, I think.
And that's great. I really appreciate that. I'm really weird about my music. I think the Britisher knows, and I've actually said it on here a couple times. When I'm playing music, it's much like if you imagine you were to take off all your clothes and walk down to get a croissant and some coffee. I feel very naked. It's very difficult for me. And y'all ain't even paying me. People used to pay me to do it, and it made it a little bit easier. But that said, listen, I want to shift off because, look, we've been talking about death and destruction this whole time, Brett, and this is the fact. The President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, he's a loudmouth blusterer. I can't only imagine what the Frenchmen and the Englishmen among me right now must think about this guy. Me, I love him, but I'm American too. You know, I'm the real kind of brash American, as you both probably know, that this appeals to me. But if you're the President of the United States, there's very little. There's maybe 5-10 things that you can't share with somebody that wouldn't immediately become unclassified if you share it. Now, I was on a video yesterday, and I was trolling them, and they were trolling me back, trying to, but I am laughing Ogre. Good luck trolling me. So I was trolling the ever-loving shit out of these lefties. And these morons don't get the fact that if you're the President of the United States, there's no impeachment is going to happen over this. What he divulged, if he divulged anything, which most people, everybody's saying right now he didn't, including the Russians, everyone is saying he didn't. But if he divulged this minute little thing, like you're going to be attacked from here, possibly, to some people that we would really like to be our allies, they are in all reality. They say, oh, Russia is not our friend. That's bullshit, Brett. That's bullshit, Jeremy. Russia is our friend. They're the great other America over there. They just speak a different language. And for so long, they've been trying to drive us apart, and I'm getting out of it. So I'm going to calm down a little bit and say, there is no treason. What do y'all think? I mean, I know that you're not American, and that's why I'm glad you both stayed. Should anything be done? Did he do anything wrong? What's wrong with trying to mend fences and trying to bring people into the fold?
There's just
Well, I mean,
nothing.
Sorry, go ahead.
In my eyes, there is nothing wrong with America having contacts with Russia for several reasons. First and foremost, if you play the game of maps and you look at how many countries are close friends with the United States surrounding Russia, Russia has no interest whatsoever in being adversarial with the United States. They have no geopolitical interest. They have nothing to gain. They have really nothing to gain in being adversarial with the United States of America because, like the only fallback would be China. And right now, they are not really, China and Russia don't really get along very well with one another. Let's just, that's the understatement of the fucking millennium here. I'm just sorry. China and Russia are not really on good terms, okay? They're playing cold turkey with one another, and they've been doing so since the start of the 80s. So, they have no vested interest in being adversarial. So first, that's the starter. You play the game of maps, you look at the map, you look at, what are the countries surrounding them, Russia, and what are those who those countries are friends with, and you see very rapidly that Russia would be foolhardy to be adversarial with America. They would be foolish. So there is nothing wrong in, having ties and communication with Russia. In fact, if anything, it's basically showing them a modicum of respect and not leaving them out of the fucking conversation. So, them motherfuckers in the media outlets in America, be they right-winger or left-winger, that take issue with Donnie talking with Putin, you're full of shit. You're full of fucking shit. Just Donnie is actually doing the good thing here. Donnie is actually... I'm sorry, Ogre. That's just...
No, don't be sorry. I agree with you. I kind of, and as soon as you're done, Britt, jump in. I know he's got some good stuff on this too. I have a feeling maybe he's got nothing to say because he is English. Maybe he don't give a shit.
Yeah. I'm a loudmouth French motherfucker. I'm sorry, but that's
I love your opinion too, mate. I'm not even kidding you. I love it. I just wanted to. Britisher is way more reserved than we are. If we bulldog, he won't say nothing.
What I would say about this whole scenario, because this is all about basically intelligence having been shared with the Russians, intelligence of which we don't really know what it was, that possibly came from Israel. I think there might be a point of criticism insofar that he may have shared something which hadn't been cleared with the country who provided the source material. So that could be, a problem, but it's not a big problem. I mean, Israel is not going to walk out on America, and clearly the intent seems to have been a good one. The idea that it would be treason is frankly laughable, because in order for it to be treasonous, you would have to hand the Russians something that is counter to the interests of the United States of America, and that would benefit the Russians. So why would the idea that the American president would do that is ridiculous. One is engaging in hyperbole here, which frankly is not really to the credit of the people who are doing it. They're just making themselves look stupid.
And it poisons the well of the conversation on top of that. So on top of that, they're making the conversation being feisty for no other reason than them trying to make themselves relevant.
Well, they're trying to create one of those absolutes again, which they so much like. That basically the way they try to close down conversations is by saying Nazi, fascist, racist, that sort of thing.
Fuck 'em.
And in this case, it is treason, as if to sort of say this is something we can't even debate. This is beyond the pale. He has gone too far, and you just go, hang on a moment, if this is treasonous, then you can clearly see what the intent was. It had nothing to do with anything that was malicious towards the United States of America. So, I mean, in what way could it possibly be treasonous? In all fairness, I would say the same thing about the whistleblowers, Snowden and Manning and people like that. I would sort of say, well, I'm sorry, but you can't really do them for treason. But, in that regard, Mr. Trump, ironically, has a completely different opinion. But I would nonetheless defend Trump in this, in the same way, and say, well, no, any allegation of treason here is risible.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. And on top of that, Israel has a vested interest in having Russia and America cooperating with one another, because Israel knows that both Russia and America are invested inside the entire region which they're a part of, which is a fucking hotspot, let's face it. Okay?
True. But there might be practical reasons why the US should effectively ask Israel before they share intelligence that Israel has gathered with someone like Russia. There are practical reasons. So, for example, if they have shared something with the Russians, who are allies with the Syrians, that came from Israeli intelligence from within Syria, then it might be possible for the Syrians to realize who the Israeli man on the ground is. So in that regard, basically just giving the Russians information without having okayed it with the Israelis might pose a risk for someone who has actually provided you with that information.
Well, don't you? That's the thing. Is that, do you really think that Israeli will that Israeli intelligence forces would burn up their own cover before making sure. Like, I'm pretty sure that whatever, like everything that Donnie had in his inside his hand was pretty much considered by the intelligence services. And I'm not talking about by who, by you know, by the president of of Israel, but by the intelligence services themselves. Basically, they screen the information and say, okay, that's potential. Like, it would not hurt us to be completely declassified. Do you really think that Donnie?
I do think that certain intelligence communities do share information with each other that might expose them because they actually completely trust one another. And I think Israel and the United States of America, that is very much a relationship on that level.
I don't think so, because even when even when it comes to, okay, I'm gonna look at it from a very French perspective. I'm sorry, but over here, intelligence services consider that secrecy is a, it has a date. It has an expiring date. Like, the secrecy of their operation has an expiring date, and at some point, information gonna have to be declassified one way or another. So they always go on the assumption that they have to prepare for declassification. When they do declassify some stuff, and basically some parts of the documents that are declassified are still blurred out, when you ask about what's blurred out, generally they tell us, well, it's information that is probably declassifiable by the United States of America, but I'm not going, I'm not going to take the risk, but I consider that they have a say in the matter, and they may not want us to declassify that information. And yet, that contributes to your point of view. But what I'm trying to get at is that basically, I really think that even when they interact with one another, they go on the assumption that everything that they received is not out of date information, but is information that could leak out without being a threat to any agents that are on the ground. I think, personally.
As I say, that we have no way of knowing that, because we really don't know. We don't even know what they were talking about. That's
I feel like I feel like I let you Islanders and Europeans go on for a lot about this, because this is the thing. You said something, Britt, that really made me. I didn't think of it like this, and it's good. That's why I do this stuff. But Trump is the president, and I made a very bold statement about, if he says anything, it's no longer classified. That's true. But man, you're right, dude. After this, if he doesn't just say, well, Snowden can come home, let's leave Assange alone, let's not Manning, let's leave him / her, it, whatever LGBTQ fucked up thing it wants to be called, leave them alone too. Man, that's messed up, isn't it? I mean, that kind of hurt me a little bit when you said that, because it's like, damn, I didn't think about that. Yeah, he's a dick.
It was just because they let Manning. It was just fresh in my mind because they've just let Manning out. And
thanks to Obama, by the way, not him. Thanks to Obama.
But while they were reporting on that, they did say that Trump had, in the past, referred to Manning as a traitor. And it's just interesting that this has, in a way, come full circle, and now Trump is the one being accused of being a traitor by some.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's really, like the news media outlets, like I just hate the way they treat Donnie. Like, I understand you hate the guy. Like, I understand you hate the motherfucker, but just look at what he's doing and try to be fair in the treatment. And you're giving him ammunition and good reason to continue to talk about fake news and to basically point the finger at you and tell you that you're a bunch of dirty motherfuckers. You give him a reason to do this. You are the one you are creating your own problem. You follow me so far, Britisher?
Oh, I know what you mean. I think I don't know so much how it is with the broadcast media. I assume it's more than likely the same thing. All the print media is losing money.
Yeah.
So all the print media as such is no longer a business. It is now a tool. It is now something for which you are willing to pay the cost in order to have said influence. And therefore, its nature has completely changed. They are no longer seen as something that is just basically an instrument of relaying information to the people. They are now seen effectively by their owners as a cost which they are willing to pay for in order to get their opinion broadcast.
Yeah. They think they think their media outlets as being a secondary device in their lobbying efforts.
Well, yes, let's be clear. It's a propaganda tool by now.
Yeah, and that's disgusting because, anyways,
well, if it wasn't the case, do you think the whole YouTube culture would have taken off in the way it has?
No.
This is pretty much a substitute that has arisen because people want something like this, but the media nowadays refuse to give it them.
Yeah, like when Sargon makes a point about the overtone window being an ever-shrinking mess, like basically the overtone window being an ever-shrinking circle. Yeah, I very much agree with him. Like it's also the mentality of. Jim Sterling has said it about the video game industry, but it's very much true with every multinational company. I'm sorry. It applies to every multinational company. We are living in a world where any multinational company, any company that has basically, headquarters in various countries of the world, even if it's just two, they're reaching a mentality and they're reaching a point right now where they would rather make no money than just some money. They want all of the money or no money, but they don't want just some money. And that's why everything that you see on YouTube that people can make a living off of are actually making a living off of because those people, they just want to be doing their thing, they just want to be providing a certain type of information. They don't want to be overreaching bastards. They're just like, this is what I'm good at. I'm going to make video content about that particular thing that I'm good at and I know about, and I'm going to give people information about it, and I'm not going to be an overreaching bastard because that's the only thing that I want to be about.
Yes, it's the economics of the long tail. I don't know if you've heard that expression.
Yep. But you can explain it for those that don't know what the hell you're talking about.
If you think of a graph, that basically sort of shows kind of supply and demand, that shows sort of demand for given products in numbers, then you can basically imagine a graph that gradually flattens out. So at the very, close to the vertical line would be things that everybody needs. Bread, milk, salt, butter, whatever. That's a huge demand.
Food, housing.
As you gradually start moving away from that, the line gradually begins to fall, and then it gradually begins to flatten and sort of move toward the horizontal line. Now, in the traditional economic model, once the tail got so and so thin, it was no longer worth providing, because in any given town there might only be 3 or 4 people who would be interested in that, and it wasn't economically viable to run a shop just for those 3 or 4 people. But of course, once the internet came along, then websites could set themselves up that would cater for these very niche little criteria that are in what they call the long tail, that basically the ever-thinning line that slowly starts merging with the horizontal, which is 0. Because even if there are only 3 or 4 people in every town, if you count all the towns of the world together, you suddenly get thousands of people. And like that, you can, as a website, cater for those thousands of people and make a business out of it.
Because your delivery,
in the old-fashioned economy,
because your delivery
to be locally present, it just wasn't possible.
Yeah, because your delivery system is global. Because the delivery system is mutualized for everyone. Like the delivery system is globally mutualized, so that you don't care. Your distribution system doesn't cost you as much, and on top of that, you deliver to anybody and everybody all around the world that cares about your stuff.
Yeah, so I remember this goes quite a few years back, that some guy wrote some kind of economic treatise in which he spoke of the economics of the long tail, in which he explained that now suddenly niche subjects could be catered for
And
online.
and economically viable.
Yes, precisely. Because the nature of economics had changed due to the internet, because the internet is a global medium.
Yeah, anything that is information or that is cultural creation in any way, shape, or form. Now you have a delivery system where you can touch base with everyone.
Yeah.
You have a delivery.
Even if it's not information, even if it would be something which would be a physical thing that you would send to people who would buy it from you, now you could post it out to any address in the world. Whereas previously it would be expected of you to have a shop in that particular town and people would go and buy it from you.
Or simply a distribution system that allows you to do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I figured it out. I don't even need to do this shit. All I got to do is have Jeremy. This last time y'all were on here, and, you know, people were like, in the chat, some people, and if you're in the chat now, I've been hardly watching. I'm telling you, I'm texting a friend right now. They were like, oh, the British and Jeremy's taking over. I don't know what to tell y'all. It's good TV. Because everybody in the comment section on those churches like, wow, you should just shut up, Ogre, and let these guys talk because they're smarter than you, you fucking moron.
Oh, you better not let us completely run out of control, because otherwise we'll start talking about asterisks again.
No, I don't care. But what I am going to say is, if you boys are... Okay, go ahead.
Or even better, I'll start talking with Jeremy about the gentleman who wants to be caliph in place of the caliph.
Oh, he's no good.
Precisely.
Yeah, I got one more question if y'all are going to get off, go do something else, because I liked what we talked about Trump, but I do feel like I would like to get an opinion on maybe one other thing.
Can I just, before you make that point,
uh-huh.
recently Sargon made a tweet because he had only just discovered
He's no good.
He had only just discovered asterisks. So he showed a picture on his tweet of the little village. You know, that map at the beginning of the books.
Yeah.
And he sort of said, why hasn't this become a meme yet? And he was obviously talking about Muslims in France and things like that. So I kind of tweeted back and said, surely not asterisks, but is no good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and by the way, no, I'm not going to do any bong rips. In fact, I've already said it. Listen, in fact, look, my camera's all messed up because I'm chilling back listening to these boys. I really was. I almost forgot that I was hosting this. I was listening. I was like, oh yeah, this is my stream. But Nil, if Dankula gets 1 day or 1 year, the day that he goes into the jailhouse, if he does, and I'm trying to be bright-sided British. Everybody's telling me look at the bright side. Sidney Rough Time was like, oh, you know, don't look at it, because I'm not, but I'm also trying to be realistic like he is. I mean, the fact of the matter is they could give him a fucking year in jail. Prison, they call it there. So if he does go in, I will not be smoking marijuana, period. Because I love it. It does help with my back pain. It helps me think and concentrate, but I don't have to have it. And guess what? When my bro Dankula, which also enjoys a big spliff while he's streaming, man, and he's very intelligent. I'd see in him a kindred spirit. I'm not saying I'm intelligent. That's for you to judge. But he does this stuff, and he can still make a long story short. They ain't gonna give him no spliffs in prison. And it was pointed out that he could maybe get it in prison, but yeah, he may be able to, but he would be choosing between, it's like a snack outside of the garbage they feed you, or getting some pot. I think I know Dank enough to say that if he had the money to buy what he'd be able to buy in there, that would be garbage and very little for a giant price. I doubt it. He would be in there to do his time, like he said, and see you on the other side. So I won't be smoking any marijuana if he goes to jail for a day or a year, period. And I'm sure that in that time, people will be asking me. I will say this, Britisher, what I would do is, you'd have to trust me on one part. I would get a strip test if anybody questions me on that. If he does enough time, it'd take 30 days to get on my system. And I would urinate in a cup without you seeing me actually do it. I'd show you the empty cup and urinate in it with the temperature on it. And I would test my urine right on the thing and show you, no. If Dank goes up, because I'm too much of a coward to do a proper hunger strike. And look, I'm running into this. I already said you boys were great. So there it is. No bong rip today, Nil. And also, I've heard from some of my panel members, you know what? I like to have fun and all, but there comes a time, the more and more serious we try to get, that maybe you'll enjoy it, Nil, but I might just have a once a week thing where we have a party and a good time, because some folks could use that against me and say, look at the guy, he's going to do some oil out of some device he's got and smoke some marijuana. We can't take him serious. So I got it. Unless you want to go right to that thing you said about the Caliph, or what, the Caliph? I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
Basically, it's a French comic that is written by. It's a Franco-Belgian comic that is a basically comedy. It's completely comedy, and it's about basically it's happening in the Middle East, and it's happening in a kingdom that is fairly peaceful and fairly luxurious. But the Caliph, so the leader of the country, is kind of a big fat guy who is a big bear and kind of a doofus and kind of naive, but he is a good ruler. He's a really good
Al-Rashid.
Harun al-Pusa, yeah. But basically, he's a good ruler. He's a very good ruler and very wise. But he is very laissez-faire. He likes his cakes. He basically an all-around,
he's
very
a little naive.
Yeah, he's naive. He's a chill guy, but he's a good ruler overall. Everybody inside the country not only loves him, but he's actually doing good. And he's got a vizier, so kind of his prime minister, who wants to be caliph, who wants to be the caliph, and who wants to get the caliph. And he comes up with all kinds of crazy plans to try to become the caliph and to try to assassinate him without being caught, without getting caught. And therefore, every album is his antics and basically how much the plan goes wrong and nothing goes as planned. Absolutely.
It's a bit like Wile E. Coyote constantly trying to kill the Roadrunner.
Yeah.
The Wazir Isnogud is constantly trying to kill the Caliph.
Yeah.
But of course, as a result of this, you get a lot of outbursts by Isnogud. So you get this guy in a turban with his little beard and whatever going absolutely manic. And of course, therefore,
apeshit mental.
Therefore, if you would want to make a meme regarding Islamist terrorism
that caters to French people,
well, I don't think you would even need to cater toward French people. It would just be,
but it would be
it would be instantly recognizable as something Islamic to everybody in the world, and you would have, and at the same time, it would be someone pretty much foaming at the mouth with rage.
Yeah.
So as such, it is meme. It is meme fodder.
Yeah.
It is ideal material for memes. So for any memeologists out there, he's called Isnogud. And there is, which obviously is a spin on the words "is no good." And you will find thousands of pictures with which you can make memes with him.
And Conscious Caracal's in the chat. I'll tell you, boys, I love this. I already said it, so I ain't kissed nobody's butt no more than I already have. So if Conscious Caracal comes in, I will ask him those two last questions. And Caracal, if you're out there, I think I sent you the thing. I might have out there, but and look, boys, Britisher, don't lie to me and tell me in front of everybody, so everybody knows the truth of how you feel. And I know if I ask you, like, I think you will. Was it too heavy? Should I have done that live like I did?
I don't think it was too heavy at all. No, I think it was fine.
I appreciate that, because I think these are things that everybody asks themselves, and I'm beating my brain against the doggone brick wall, and I'm thinking, because you do the satire thing, and you're amazing to me because you do like both ends of it. You do the completely straight guy that's not even, and then you do the other end that's like, where did he come up with that joke? I don't even know. It's like I think you must either think about it a lot or it comes natural to you Englishmen that are going that direction. So anyway, I'm hoping that that's what it is. So if Caracal does come in, I'll shut up now because he's got something I got to present.
Yeah, I think Jeremy is just looking for some. So these are Isnogud. These are illustrations from the Isnogud comics.
And he's saying, "I want to be Caliph at this. I want to be the Caliph." Like basically, he said, like,
"Je veux être calife à la place du calife."
Yeah.
Was that good enough? Was that good enough for a Briton? Come on, Jeremy.
Yeah, actually, you have very.
You speak French, right, Brett? Don't you speak French?
Yeah, he speaks really good French. And
he speaks several languages, actually. Most people don't know that. I got to brag on you a little bit, Richard. How many languages do you speak, sir?
Oh, I'll keep that to myself for now. But
Yeah,
no,
I'm sure you will.
but Ogre, I think if you can see these pictures, you can see what I mean with this is ideal meme territory.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking at them. I don't know. I've never seen them in a meme, though. So this is something that's fresh, new territory.
So
Yeah,
because in every comic, he goes absolutely berserk because his
Yeah.
plan will always invariably fail.
Yeah, and he goes mental in every kind of way. Like you can have some pictures where he basically he's red with fury. Like just look at this is the cover of one of the album. You know, who killed the Caliph? Basically, the name of the album. So it's Is No Good, and the name of this album is Who Killed the Caliph. Just look at this face. You know, like just look at the motherfucking guy.
He looks, yeah, I love the.
So I
You know
think
what
you can
Charlie
see-
Hebdo too, though, man. Did you
So I think
French?
if you can see, if people want to make memes that make fun of Islamist terrorism, I think Is No Good clearly lends itself to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely. It's just I like seriously, like when they wanted to reach out, like when Kyrgyzstani people wanted to reach out to us and wanted to basically like try to influence us in how we vote, like this is what you should have used. Seriously, like you should have used this particular comic. It would
Yes,
have
because the French would immediately have warmed to that. Yes.
Yeah, we grew up on this shit.
Yes, Pepe doesn't mean anything in France, really, but Is No Good would immediately be recognizable because Gaucheny is a god in France.
Yeah.
Huh. And this is Gaucheny.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is the author. So basically, he was the author of several comic books. So it was always a different illustrator who worked with him, but he would write the stories, and the illustrators would just basically come up with the actual illustrations.
Like here's an illustration of the.
Well, since you both speak French too, I need a little help. How do you say it only hurts the first time in French?
It only hurts the first time.
Ça fait mal.
Ça ne fait
mal la première fois.
Ça ne fait mal.
Okay, hang on now. That was great, but it was like in the beginning it was both at the same time. So first, let me hear the Britishers say it, and then I want to hear Jeremy say it. So
I think we'll hand over to the expert here, and I'll embarrass myself less.
Ça ne fait mal que la première fois.
Ça ne fait mal.
Ça ne fait mal que la première.
Ça ne fait mal.
Que la première fois.
Que la première fois.
Que la première fois. Yeah.
Que la première fois.
Yeah.
Première.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll make a fluent French speaker out of you very soon.
No, but yo comprendo más palabras por español porque nací hace yo palabras cual malo. In other words, I can speak a little French, but Nachi would probably say, or excuse me, Spanish, but Nachi would probably say my Spanish wasn't that great. Porque yo lengua está muy limber. I don't know how to say limber. My tongue is very limber from speaking Spanish. I grew up speaking Spanish. So I do believe I could speak French, but it's not like the how are you doing, madame. It's not like the front of the tongue. Y'all use the back of the tongue a lot more.
Yeah.
It's a very, very difficult language. We use the front of our tongue, and like British people don't even use their tongue.
For the, you need your tongue.
British, will you do me a favor?
What was that? Yeah,
and
go
before
ahead.
I ask Conscious Character, when you say, it's been years since I thought of the years that I spent years doing that thing.
Yes, I say it's been years, but people sort of pull me up on that and say it should be it's been years. But I say it's been
that's
years.
good. You can't say it the other way though. I'm sorry, sir. So you can't. So, but you didn't say it 3 times. But
it's been years.
You have to position your head a certain way. You can't. That's not even. That's proof that the British don't only use their mouth and their tongue. Because I was mocking you for the tongue thing. They use their whole head and upper chest. Because to say yes, you have to do what I just did. You can't say yes. You have to go yes because it pushes the out in a certain way. And it does something to your vocal cords right here when you throw your head back in a pompous way, like Chris often does.
You have got this mental image of me having kind of swallowed a broomstick some years ago.
I imagine the broomstick going in, sir, but in a much different area.
Now you planted that imagery in my head as well, you bastard.
Yeah, but
You had that cover, British, and you left it open.
just one last screen sharing of just this picture. Like this is the live action version of Eve's No Good. Just that one last, so that everybody can see.
Because I got to ask Carol a couple questions, and I just abused my friend. That was so funny, though. You know,
Look,
it was.
Like I think that Michael Youn actually was the perfect actor to incarnate Is No Good. Don't you think, Britisher?
I am always sort of appalled whenever they bring out a live action version of Asterix or Is No Good or anything like it, because it never can quite live up to
the comedy that is inside the comic. But in terms of casting, who played Is No Good,
but when it comes to that particular face and the sheer deviousness of the eyes, I would say he was a good choice. Yes.
He was the right choice to play Is No Good.
That's definitely a very, very spitting image of this gentleman. But I got to say, the Conscious Carrickle just came in. He's such a polite gentleman. He is probably, in my mind, you and the Britisher, maybe you're tied. I won't even lie. I'm not going to try to play favorites. You and the Britisher are tied. Britisher's very good too. And his chat section.
He beats me on accent, definitely.
Well, no, but I don't mean in talking. I mean with being able to facilitate a lot of people communicating by text. You two gentlemen are the best that I know at it, because there's something about the way that you do it that does not encourage people to be trolls and jerks, but at the same time, you don't ever tell anybody not to be trolls and jerks. It's just that you've cultivated this culture that when people get there and they realize, oh, if I even try that here, everybody here just sees me as a blithering moron. I don't know.
I might be going out on a limb, but South Africa, Afrikaans culture is very, very obsessed with manners. Almost in the sense that, like the British are as well, the manners make the man.
I think what Ogre is trying to tell us, Carrickle, is that he thinks that we are a loss to the diplomatic service.
Yeah, I also get that vibe.
You're definitely very good at it.
Well, thank you, Ogre. I
Either one of you
appreciate
could have been a
very
diplomat.
welcome compliment.
So, you know what? I don't know if you've heard any of the stream. I know you've been very busy. That's why I didn't send you a link today. I try to encourage my friends when they have stuff that's life,
swing by.
Yeah. So, do you know who Chris Cornell is, or did you see that he committed suicide early this morning?
Yeah, I heard the news, but I am unfortunately not too familiar with his music.
He's just a front man from Soundgarden. He's been in a couple other things, Temple of the Dog, and now I'm gonna have a brain seizure because I've been thinking about it all day. I did a little small tribute to him and played something from Temple of the Dog.
Yeah, I saw you were posting on Twitter. You seem quite moved by this. His death.
I couldn't have been. The only way I could have been sadder is if my brother was resurrected right now, and he came in and kissed me, and then died in front of me. That's. I'm not even trying to be super more because they're in a very real way earlier.
That you can create such a connection with a person that created art that inspired you, in a sense, I imagine.
That I never met. Never met. Never.
It's beautiful to see people create these connections to people they never met, but these people somehow touch their lives in one way or another.
Yeah. And we've been here for a while, and I know that my friends and you also probably have something to say, but I got to ask you two questions before I just cut it loose for the last probably 5 or 10 minutes. Not probably, because at the top of the hour I'm done. But do you think, sir, because I'm sure you've lost people that are close to you, people that were heroes that you never met, like Chris was to me, all these things, and it might have been for various reasons, because I've lost people in my family from suicide. I can go on and on.
I've lost a brother as well, so I know. Yeah,
we've been there. So do you think that there is something beyond where we're at now? Did Chris Weiland? I always said Weiland because Chris Weiland did just die. But did Chris just die? Is he on the River Styx right now? Did he pay the ferryman? Is he going to Elysium? Is there something after? And because you just got here, I want to ask you the same thing I did Beard Barian. If you think there is something after, what would you think it was or want it to be?
Well, my personal view on the afterlife is that whatever there is, if there is something, it would be beyond our comprehension. We wouldn't even be able to imagine even a shred of what it would be like, or even conceptualize it in our minds if it exists. On a lighter note, for people that say all these musicians with all their like the sin and whatever, and they're going to hell and everything. I can't remember who said it, but if all these musicians and all these great like artists all go to hell, that would be some very incredible company. I would not mind joining them. On a lighter note.
Oh, I spent a lot of time today talking about rock and roll heaven, but yeah, I couldn't. I don't know how to feel about what you just said, but the sentiment is there for me too.
No, back more on a serious note on the afterlife. My personal view is, if there is something after death, like I said, we wouldn't be able to conceptualize it. We wouldn't be able to create even a mental picture. It would be beyond our grasp of our minds.
So are you willing to, so what you're saying is you just don't think we can grasp it. I don't think you ever really answered me straight up. So just yes or no, do you think there may be something after this?
I don't really have the knowledge to make that claim. I would like to believe that there's something, but I really don't have the knowledge.
I feel like Tucker Carlson right now. I really do. I feel like Tucker Carlson. So one more time with a yes or no, do you think there may be something after this?
There may be, yes.
Okay.
If there is, I can't say. But there
no, I understand that. Nobody's going to pin you down or record this and later play it and say, "Oh, Carrickle said that."
Oh, God.
Yes.
Can I just interrupt? Because Jeremy is trying to show you something on screen that I really think you should see.
The bird there that I just
Count Dankula. About Count Dankula.
I put the link up before and I was trying to get your attention, but
I was wondering why you sent me that bird link. I see now it's something different.
Oh no! Oh no!
He's getting postponed.
Yeah, I thought something like this might happen.
I've got a feeling because, I heard that he was sort of saying he thought they were trying to delay it again. So, this is not to say that that's what it is, but now that you see that, you do get the feeling that there's more than likely been another delay.
No, he said flat out in the last video, watch it. Because there was questions that people asked me, but I'm not going to speak for him. Because people asked me, because I reposted the video he did, and then I did a little thing because I was emotional, and I had to do the little stupid thing I did on my little tiny platform. Because Dankula is my friend, that's why. And fuck anybody that don't like it. I don't like what's happening. So what they're doing now is he flat out said, Britt, he is not giving a guilty plea and plea bargaining. Yeah. He is standing for I am not guilty. You have to prove that I did this because I want Nazism normalized, and I was trying to besmirch Jews and say that it was good that they were gassed. Bullshit. He starts it out by saying, I'm doing this because I tried to think of how I could piss my old lady off the worst, how I could piss her off more than anything else. I thought I would teach her adorable
in the video.
Dog to do it. Yes, thank you. Right before he does it. So they're trying to wear him down.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
That's exactly what they're trying to do.
Man, I can't imagine. That guy is the toughest son of a bitch that I have never met.
No, but Ogre will be behind him whatever happens. Like I think he gets the idea that we're all backing him in this, and he has gotten immense support. And it's really nice to see.
Yeah, I'm gonna look that up right now because I take some deep breaths because it's just unreal. I can't. They're just trying to wear him down. I was hoping. What would be better is that they just would say whatever and get it over with. Sir Sidney, everybody that's saying that, and he knows it too. They just
advantage. What was the second question, Ogre? Maybe did you ask it or I didn't hear it?
Oh yeah, thanks for that too, Brett. Because I'm telling you, man, my stomach's hurt. I can't even imagine this guy. Man, he is that willow tree that I spoke of earlier. So the other question is that because you said it's a possibility. So, and remember, this is just hypothetical, man. This is total philosophy 101. So if it is possible that there is something, what would you imagine it to be, or would you like it to be? This something that happened after this life.
Even though I believe I would not be able to create this image. If I had to create an image, I would imagine just this state of being more than it being a place. It would be a state of being where you are almost. You have transcended your physical form, and you've transcended to a state of being where you are almost one with the universe again. You've been thrown back into the system. You've been assimilated back into the universe. So I don't imagine like this, the classic image of heaven where it's like Earth. I wouldn't say you would be there in a human form. You would be in another state of being where you're one with everything, and where where you have an entire different spectrum of experience, which I can't even conceptualize.
Yeah.
From a philosophical standpoint.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to press you any further next. We talked about this stuff for about 2 hours before we got here. I'm just curious about what other people think. I'm definitely not going to restate what I said. It's just, I do like your approach to it. It's much like the Britishers and some other very intellectual, intelligent people that I talked to tonight. They say, hey, man, I don't know. Somewhere a little more loose with their answers to, what it may be like. But in the end, I think that we do hold on to these things as I wrap this up. I'm about ready to wrap it up. I'm going to do something else later on tonight. It's getting late for everybody here. Carol, thanks so much for coming by. I'm just going to send you a link every day, bro, that I do this. If you don't, but just I hate to do that to people. I do it to Cabbage now too, because hey, I know he's busy, but if I send you the link, you can say, hey, you didn't send me the link. I don't know what you feel like. You're always welcome.
If I can make time for like 10 minutes or 30 minutes, I'll do my best, man. Thanks. But yeah, it's a very interesting question. It's a very thought-provoking question. It's not because it's not a simple question, I can't give a simple answer. It's a very complex topic for discussion, but it's very interesting. And like you said, it's interesting hearing what other people's perspectives are on the topic. But like I said, I don't think I'm in a position to make any truth claims in terms of what comes after. I'm very curious. But until the day I die, I think I'll always have this idea of uncertainty, the idea that whatever comes next will be so either unfathomable that I can't create an image in my mind. But I do think that I'm open to the idea that there is something after death. I have no qualms, or I have no problem with people that have a very strong idea of what comes after death. I actually envy people that have that reassurance.
I don't, and I think for everybody it's a matter of faith. Now I'm going to put a cherry on top of this and say that MCJK, I wouldn't usually do something quite like this. The Britisher, I'm sure he's aware, and Day is Dead, I'm making soap, and we're going to have an auction. I'm just kind of trying to wait till I can strike when the iron's hot, and the Britisher and I are in agreement that time is then, before we actually do the auction for Day is Dead's chair. But that said, why MC would send this to me, I don't know. I would also guess that being that his job is to cure cancer, that he could probably make this donation himself. And I'm betting that any of this notch here is some of his doing. But you know what? If we all went out and just opened up our purse strings, no matter how wealthy we were, it wouldn't take MCJK to be out in the street just like someone else may be here. So just bear with me, folks. This is not an infomercial. I'm not a huckster or a shill man or anything like that. But I will say that I do believe in helping people. And if MC sent this to me, it's either a very good con person or someone that needs help. So if you have a couple bucks, I'm going to send this out to the link here, and I'll put it in the video for after, so that people that see this later. And I'm not saying don't try to see they're not trying to get rich. These folks are asking for, it looks like 600 quid. It's like $600. Which to me does seem like a remarkably small amount of money. So I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to do it now because you'd see my information. But when I do hang up from this, I'm going to hang up and I'm going to give them 5 quid. I'm going to give them $5. That's not a lot of money to me. And some of y'all probably can't afford to do such a thing. Hey, that's okay. Nobody here would ever judge you for that. In fact, nobody would judge you if you had the money and didn't want to give it. It's completely your business. That's why I am anarcho-capitalist, anti-statist, anti-government, telling me what the fuck to do. I'm all for coming to conclusions together as a small congregation like we have here today, sometimes a larger one, sometimes a lot of people watching, sometimes nobody watching, sometimes I go to a pub, there's 50 people there, sometimes nobody. But we have to come together. They only say that don't talk about religion and politics at the pub. It's because they don't want you talking about it. It's not the people there. That's something started in our society to get us to shut the hell up. Because wasn't it Richard Nixon that said, we got to stop this marijuana thing because those Jews and those hippies and those niggers, they get together and smoke the marijuana and they think and read books. Well, Mr. Nixon, we weren't celebrating your death today, were we, sir?
That's the point I made in my latest video. Exactly that point that, you should only drink alcohol and numb yourself, but don't try cannabis. We don't want your thoughts too stimulated.
Amen. So that said, look, I'm going to have to wrap it up pretty quick or I'll continue to stimulate thought. Go check out the Beard Burying today if you haven't already looked at Nazi Free or the Britisher. you're living under a rock. If you haven't checked out Conscious Caracal and sub to him, you really don't know what living is, because these things will help you live your normal life when you're out having a beer, having a good time, because you'll have a little bit more knowledge. So take some time, go check out the Young Turks Suck. They're 51% of the, I don't want to, again, I got to get this wrapped up, so I'm not trying to spark thought. I'm just giving it a wrap. Yeah, of the Young Turks. So they're a little bit higher, and they got more viewers and more. Like I'm working on a video as we speak. I just got to get it under 5 minutes. It's got to be good, I believe. He let some stuff from me slide on there that I don't know if I was up to par to some of the other things. But go check it out, the Young Turks Suck. And that said, friends, listen, be good to your friends, be good to your family members, be good to your loved ones. For God's sake, be quick to say you're sorry. Be even quicker to accept an apology, especially when that thing your friend, your family member, your loved one has done seems to be so huge, you'll never be able to forget about it. Because I can't even be in character when I say this right now, constant viewer. At a time you think not. One morning you'll wake up. Your friends, your family members, your loved ones, your teenage heroes, and all you hold dear will depart from you. Sending rough time, and I hope to see you at Elysium, where the beer's always cold, the women are buxom, and life goes on forever.